Hey guys, welcome to Backseat Filmmaking. I'm your host, Derrick, joined of course by my two co-hosts, Tanner and Seth. And today the three of us are going to be taking a look at 1998's The Faculty, directed by Robert Rodriguez. Hope you guys enjoy. Fellas, we're back. How you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
Doing great. How are you doing today?
I am doing really great as well, because we're talking about maybe not the greatest film of all time. To some people, I think so, maybe, in a very particular way. But I have a question for you guys. What do you get when you mix The Breakfast Club with Invasion of the Body Snatchers?
You get The Faculty.
You get The Faculty, and that's what we're talking about today. Very fun movie. But before we talk about The Faculty, Tanner, why don't you tell the people at home a little bit what the movie's about?
Sure will. A horror tale set in a high school where the students suspect the teaching staff of being aliens who are intent on making the students their victims.
Dun dun dun.
So before we talk about the movie, you know what time it is. It's trivia time, baby. Cue the music. All right, guys. I got some difficult questions for you today. I'm not going to lie. I think this one's going to be tough.
I understand now it's not just, we're not on a team anymore. We're
going head to head.
You guys are going head to head today.
Yes.
So you guys are not working together to beat me, the host.
Good luck.
Hey, no more. Yeah.
You're going down.
Yeah.
Man.
You're
Now
going
that does
down.
mean I have to be a little harsher with your answers.
Yes,
I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty lenient, but I got to be a little harsher and award the points accordingly, or not award them if you guys can't get them. So what do you guys say? Are you guys ready?
As ready as can be.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I need. All right,
Ooh,
guys.
Mr. Nice Guy.
Need you to step up today, Seth.
All right.
All right, guys. Question 1. The story takes place in a fictional town in Ohio. What is the name of the town, and what state was it actually filmed in? Hint, it is not Ohio.
I know.
Buzz.
We got a buzz from Tanner.
I forgot we weren't working together.
All right. I know. So it takes place in Ohio, story-wise. But I know it was actually shot in multiple cities in Texas.
Correct, yeah.
Austin, Dallas, and you know what? Drawing a blank on the third.
I just needed the state, so you're good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to be too particular about that. It was multiple
Yeah.
cities, but you're right. So Texas is the state it was actually filmed
Is
in.
it?
I'm screwed though because I don't know the fictional
Is
town.
the
Oh.
fictional town? Is it Hennington?
You're on the right track.
You-
That's as much
yeah.
as I'll
It's
give
a
you.
something ton, right?
It is a
You
ton,
gave me
yeah.
you just made me-
Harrington.
Oh!
Well, okay, so what do we do here? Because you guys...
That's a split.
Okay, okay.
Split decision.
Half
So I'm not
point.
gonna-
We get a half point.
half point. I was going to award no points,
I
but
was just gonna say, yeah, we
Oh,
get
it's a 0-0 essentially. All right,
All
we're
right.
moving on to question 2.
1-1.
One,
We
one.
are-
No
we
blood,
are-
no
That's
blood,
right. You
no
guys got
blood,
it.
no
Okay, I'll
blood.
give you guys both a point. Question 2. Who was originally set to direct the film before Robert Rodriguez was brought in?
Oof.
Dude, I'm drawing a blank on the name, but I did see it like multiple times, or heard it multiple times in the videos I was watching, but no answer for me.
Stanley Kubrick.
Incorrect. And since you were so far off, I take away your point.
No. it is not.
I'm kidding. You guys are not awarded a point. It is Kevin Williamson.
Oh.
Now, that does lead into my next question. Kevin Williamson, although stepping down from the director's chair, was a primary screenwriter of the film. Now, Kevin Williamson was known for writing 2 other iconic teen horror movies shortly before the release of The Faculty. What were those 2 movies?
Buzz.
Tanner.
Scream.
It's 1. I can give you a small hint if you want.
Yes, please.
This movie does have I don't know if it's a sequel. I assume it is, not a reboot. It's like a legacy sequel coming out next month.
Oh. I know what you did last summer.
Correct. Tanner,
Let's go. Okay. Let's
Tanner
go.
taking the lead 2-1 here.
Dang
Good
it.
job. That was nice.
All right.
All right, guys. Question 4. Now, this one's going to require a bit of a long answer, but the film references many horror or science fiction properties throughout the movie. This doesn't even need direct references, but it could be alluded to or homages. Could be anything. Can you name 5?
The Thing.
Okay, so Seth is buzzing in. He's got
Yeah.
one.
I got one, and I think I had to go out and get that one.
Yeah, it's a pretty obvious one.
Gosh. I mean, that's just where that's
There's
five
a
of
ton
them.
There's like 20. I just need 5. I swear, there's a ton.
Sci-fi horror.
Sci-fi or horror. So it doesn't need to be both, but it could be either
Going
one.
forward, we're gonna need to implement some time limits.
Yeah,
Because I know I took a little bit on.
I might have to let
too.
Tanner steal here in a second.
second.
Yeah, I jump in there. I mean,
All
that's
right.
I just
Okay.
need to.
Tanner's stealing,
Uh,
and you can reuse the thing. So that is one.
okay, The Thing,
Sorry, you gave it to him.
Halloween. It's when the isn't it when like he's standing out on the rain and then Michael Myers is standing in the
I'll allow it.
clotheslines
Yeah,
or
I'll
like the
allow that.
clothes.
I will allow it. Some of these again are up to kind of interpretation, but I will
That's
allow
good.
that.
No,
Scream.
Okay, yeah, I'll take Scream.
Friday the 13th.
Ooh, interesting.
Well, I didn't know if this is one, so I'll try to guess some
Yeah,
others.
I'm not
'cause, like,
gonna give you that one.
There's that kill during the football scene,
Ooh, that's.
and I was just thinking the kill.
I
You
will
know?
allow it.
Okay.
I will actually allow it. That's a good. See if you can make your case. I'll allow it.
Oh, I mean Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I mean
right.
that's what the whole.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, where are you guys
Yeah.
going? Is that 5? What'd you get? The Thing, Halloween, Friday the 13th, Scream, and yeah, Invaders. Okay, Tanner's pulling away, man. There are some pretty obvious ones. I just want to go over a couple that are directly referenced in the film. They do mention the Puppet Masters, X-Files, Independence Day. E.T. is again alluded to. Same with Star Wars, Stargate, Star Trek is mentioned by name, Scanners, and Terminator 2, as we know. So you guys missed out on a lot of obvious ones. I'll be honest. You guys went in a real roundabout way, but
Yeah.
Tanner has been awarded the points. So 3-1 Tanner. We're moving on to question 5.
Enough points to come back here. I don't think.
There's 3 more questions, so you
All
do
right.
have a chance to
blow it.
win this. Now, Josh Hartnett, who plays Zeke in the film, starred in another iconic horror movie the same year as The Faculty. What was that film?
I remember the
Halloween?
name.
It is a Halloween film, but I need the
H2O.
H2O. Correct. All right, Seth's coming back here. 3-2.
Let's go.
Question 6. This is a fun one. A cross-promotional ad campaign with the main cast was released.
Buzz.
Tanner.
Tommy Hilfiger.
Tommy Hilfiger.
Oh,
I don't know if you
good.
want me
That
to read
was
the
good.
rest of my question, but
Sorry.
yeah, that's
Good.
fine. A cross-promotional ad campaign with the main cast was released in anticipation for the film, and there is a direct product placement for this brand in the movie. What was that brand? Yeah, Tommy Hilfiger. So
nice.
I'll put in some pictures here in the edit, but it's real. The pictures with the whole cast and drip down Tommy.
Oh, I
is
saw the
hilarious,
video.
dude. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
you
saw
saw the
ad.
video?
I
Yeah,
saw the
okay.
Do they
yeah.
have that on for real though?
Oh, dude, they're
Remember we made a
dripped out.
comment about Stan's shirt?
And that's just like a basic
Yeah.
polo that
Yeah,
he's wearing,
yeah,
but this
I
ad
did like
campaign,
that
they're
shirt.
rocking like head to toe
I think
Tommy.
we all did. Yeah.
All right, well, last question.
nice
Seth,
shirt.
you've already lost, I believe, right? It's 4-2. Sorry, Seth.
Yeah.
So you're taking a shot, buddy, or something. I
Dude, that
don't know.
Mickey Mouse
Question 7.
Friday the 13th gift there.
The Faculty released in 1998 during what holiday?
Oh. 1998.
Released on the day of this holiday, too. So
Can it be? I'm going to say. I mean, it really can only be Thanksgiving, Christmas, or 4th of July. I'm gonna say the 4th of July.
incorrect. Tanner, would you like to steal just to cement this win for sure?
I'll
I mean,
buzz
you
in.
already did, but
Oh man, is it like? I guess you can't give me this. I was gonna say like one of the major holidays, but that's too easy.
yeah, I can't give any hints on this one. There's only so many.
See, I want to. Something tells me like at the beginning of summer, but then something tells me it's probably later in the fall. You know what? I'm
Could
just
be
gonna
spring.
throw one out. I know it really could obviously be any time.
It's
But
gonna be Flag Day.
you know what? I'm gonna guess it's gonna be wrong. Thanksgiving.
Incorrect.
Yeah.
Although Tanner was closer. It was Christmas Day, 1998.
Mm.
Yeah,
December
see, I wasn't
25th.
thinking it was gonna be.
Oh, pretty bold. Throw this on Christmas.
I know. Well, and that's actually part of the reason why it underperformed.
Yeah.
At least a lot of them feel that way. A lot of the cast and crew. Yeah, very, very weird
Yeah,
time.
bit
But,
odd.
I mean, that's some of the biggest movies coming out at the end of the year. And then you
Yeah.
got this little B movie, sci-fi horror.
Taking the family
You
to
know,
go see the Faculty.
Go see the Faculty. Yeah, kind of weird. But that does it for trivia time. Thank you guys for playing. Seth, I'm gonna need more from you next episode.
Yeah, that was. I've
Good
had a
game,
couple
partner.
bad showings here. Now that we're outside the lines here, I'll give you a proper handshake, my friend.
Good game,
Couple
fellas.
bad showings there, but
Well, before we get talking about the movie itself, do you guys have anything to add, either behind the scenes or making of or whatever?
I think this is behind the scenes enough. Just while the scenes are going through, and we're probably going to talk about it again, but Josh Hartnett's hair
Yeah.
it was a
That was gonna
topic
be
of
my
this.
little tidbit.
It was a topic of discussion for us while we were watching the movie, and looking into it a little bit, I discovered that he was cutting his own hair,
Yeah.
and he did it in a rebellious way. They kept trying to like get him to not do that because it looks janky, but he's like, no, it helps me be in tune with like how a teen would act. And it's like, yeah, here you go, little method, Josh.
Yeah.
I have something to add on that because that's
Yeah.
actually literally what I was gonna bring up. So that's great. He was doing that haircut for the Halloween movie H2O.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they were trying to get rid of him because of that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
That's so
I
funny.
think the same studio, I think Dimension Films put out both of these. I think they were both
Dimension.
by Miramax. So yeah, both literally, and these came out the same year. Yeah, they were trying to kick him off of both films, and he just
Mhm.
he got his way in the end. And in both movies, he's rocking
Said,
this
screw you,
really
Harvey.
weird haircut. Yeah, yeah. Speaking of that too, I mean,
Okay.
we won't get.
Boo.
Yeah, let's just give a.
We're
good
gonna be
old-
booing a few times.
Oh yeah, there's some scum involved with this film, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
that is definitely one of them, Mr. Weinstein. Ooh.
Boo.
See, I was gonna bring up this movie and how it kind of helped Elijah Wood eventually get the
Right.
role in Lord of the Rings. That guy, I think his name is Harry Knowles. He's a film critic. He's also an actor in this movie. Briefly, he's like he's part of the faculty.
Yeah, which one is he? I didn't put that
He's
together.
the bigger fellow with the big like
oh,
orange
and
beard
like long hair. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Also, everybody, boo this guy. This guy is not
Boo,
a good guy.
Mr.
Boo.
Knowles, right? Mr.
Boo.
Knowles,
Yeah.
Harry Knowles.
If you look it up, yeah, no, he's not that great of a guy. But he encouraged Elijah Wood
Is it
to,
like a super boo?
yeah, I mean, however you want to boo, just don't. You don't want
This
to
guy
like
sucks.
this
This
guy.
guy's a
Sucks.
bad
This guy
dude.
just sucks.
Should we just get all the booable things out of the way now?
There's one that I'll talk
There's
about
like
actually
one
when we get
more,
to the
but
scene
yeah.
because it actually
Okay.
I'll get to that. But
But yeah, he encouraged Elijah Wood to send in an audition tape for Lord of the Rings because I think the Harry guy knew Percy Jackson or
Peter Jackson.
Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Percy Jackson. Jesus. Yeah, Peter Jackson. And so he just encouraged it to send him in the tape, and he did, and he was our Frodo.
Yeah, changed. I mean, literally launched him into superstardom from
Mhm.
there. So wouldn't have happened without the faculty. So
Mhm.
even if you don't like this movie, it got you Lord of the Rings, or at the very least, it got you Elijah Wood as Frodo. And-
Yeah, and
I guess
Elijah-
the Lord of the Rings would have. Oh, the
Yeah.
faculty didn't come out. I guess we can't make this movie. This
Elijah
trilogy.
Wood is leaving it all out there
Yeah.
in this movie.
Well, guys, do you have anything else to add before we hop into the actual plot of the film?
Get going.
Find out about
Let's
these
get
body
rocking and rolling
snatchers.
on the faculty, okay? So we're gonna start off here at the very beginning. Start with a little football, foosball. I think Seth, you had made a note. You did not think this is how the movie was gonna start. You were kind of like, oh, I
No.
guess we're just.
And I said anything with football in it, I'm in.
So he was hooked from right from the beginning. But we get so it's a football practice for the teams, the school's team, and Coach Willis is just reaming them. I mean, this guy's like having a stroke, screaming at them. It's so funny how mad he's getting because they have a big game on Friday night. So he doesn't think they're prepared enough. So he's going ham on them. The team starts to walk off the field, and he singles out one of our main characters, Stan. This is our introduction to him, and he's just reaming him in particular. He's our star quarterback, and he just does not believe Stan is ready to step up to the task at hand for Friday night.
Is Stan the man?
Not at this moment. I'll tell you that. At least according to Coach Willis, he does not believe so. So Stan is getting reamed pretty hard, and Stan almost pipes up. He wants to say something. He wants to stand up for himself, but his buddy Usher. I don't even know the character's name that Usher plays.
It's Usher.
Yeah, we're just gonna call him Usher. And he kind of grabs him away, and they walk off.
He's like, He's like looking.
It ain't
like,
worth it,
forget
man.
about
Something.
him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like something just perfect.
And as the team
Gabe.
is like, Gabe, okay,
Yeah.
didn't know that. Do they even say his name at any point? I know he had a lot of his scenes cut,
He
so maybe
did.
there is more to his character than the actual theatrical release indicates. But
He had his scenes cut, and he also was supposed to have a girlfriend that was supposed to be like the sixth member of
Right.
the group, who actually is Quincy Jones's daughter.
yeah,
You see
that's
that?
right. Yeah.
That's cool.
And
But
then
yeah,
so
she was-
sister with Rashida Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Crazy.
she was even in those ad campaigns.
I
with
saw
Tommy
that too.
Hilfiger.
Yeah. And there's Tommy Hilfiger ads.
And yeah, it was supposed to be Gabe's girlfriend, and she's barely in the movie. She's not totally cut out or anything.
Mhm.
You can see her in like the science scenes, which we'll get
I
into.
don't even
But
think she gets a line.
no,
Yeah,
I think
they
she's
literally
just in the
cut
back. Like
everything.
she's just standing along with them, but I don't think she has
Crazy.
any lines.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
So they completely cut her character out and significantly cut down Mr.
Gabe.
Usher. She's gonna call him Usher. It's not Gabe. It's Usher. It's really funny too that when they're walking, the football team's walking away. Coach Willis is still just losing it by himself. Like the team is far away from him. He's doing these theatrics purely for himself. He runs over to like the bench with like the water coolers, flips it over. He's just like kicking them and stuff. And then he notices a little sprinkler kind of spurting out water, and he kind of kicks it. And then he gets on a knee and places his hand over it to stop it from shooting out the water. And that's when we get our ominous figure approach him from behind. A shadow appears over him, and he says, "This better be good." And he turns around and he looks up at the figure. The audience does not see. And he just goes, "Yeah, what?" Fade to black. So now we're getting our main character intros here. We go to the school. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We actually cut to Principal Drake. So another kind of main player in this story. She's with some of the faculty, some of the teachers, and it's after hours at the school, and they're in the faculty lounge. They're talking about budget cuts for the year. So she's kind of telling them like, "Yeah, you guys, Mr. Tate, you can't go on your field trip to New York. You're not leaving Ohio." She's telling Mrs. Brummel like, "Yeah, we're not getting new computers. Just call the guy and get him juiced up." And Mrs. Olson, "We don't have enough money for your, more stuff for your play." He's the theater teacher. And Mr. Tate sarcastically states that the football team will probably get new jerseys and new equipment. To which Drake responds like, "Yeah, have you seen the football stadium on a Friday night? Like, her hands are tied. The school board wants this. The parents of this town want this. There's nothing she could do. It's a football town. They don't really care. It's in the name of education," as he says. So the teachers, they're walking out of the building. We get an exterior shot, and Principal Drake tells Mrs. Olsen she forgot her keys in the office. So she heads back inside to go retrieve those. And Tanner, where do we go from here?
We get the coach approaching her. Oh, she just hears a strange sound.
Right.
Turns around, and he's just right there. Nope. Just out of nowhere. And so he's already being creepy. She gets startled. I think he says like, "Looks very, very pretty tonight." Right? And yeah, he's just being a weird guy. And he states something about like the pencil. Just an odd comment. And can't seem to find a pencil. Like, what the hell? And so yeah, he keeps asking about this pencil. And she's just trying to dip. She knows something's like just kind of weird. Him just being weird. She tries to dip. He stands in front of her. He gets in her way. And again, he's just doing too much. Again, I don't think she's really acting out in a way that I would have liked her to. Get out of there.
Yeah.
Get out of there. She's like it's increasingly, getting weirder for her.
Right.
But I think overall she could have
Maybe there's a past of this guy
tried a
being
little more,
like
man.
harassing some of the women around the school. So maybe she's just kind of like, "Hey, you're probably drunk. Get some rest tonight."
That's
So
true.
she's trying to just shoo him off so she can just go on with her night.
He gets up. So he ends up. How does he get the pencil? He
She finally like just annoying. She's annoying
gives-
because
or she
he keeps
gives it to her.
asking for
Yeah,
a pencil,
okay.
and she's
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I have a pencil here," and gives him a pencil.
and he just stabs that right through her hand.
God, like all the way through her palm.
Does he say, "Always wanted to do that"?
Yeah.
So we get that. Yeah, it's just weird. And she.
That was, to me, it was like, okay, we're in a horror movie. Like,
Yeah.
That was gruesome.
Yeah.
It was a gruesome,
yeah.
like just like him stabbing it through, and she shrieks in pain.
Yeah.
Of course.
I mean, we just kind of got a few minutes in.
Yeah.
right.
You know,
And we're
and she
already kinda
claws
getting-
at his face, gets out of there.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think he like immediately is in like wherever the room where the intercom is, because he's immediately in the intercom when she like takes off.
Well, they're in her office. I assume that she's, it's probably like the principal's intercom.
That makes sense. I retract. Yeah, she's running door to door trying to get out of there. Every exit she can think of, all of it's chained off.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, damn, how the hell do I get out of there? And she goes to the door, and I think the other teacher's there.
Yeah, Mrs. Olson.
Mrs. Olson. And she's screaming, trying to get her attention, trying to get her to call somebody, get help, do whatever she can, unlock the door or whatever. She can't do a damn thing. She's like, I think she's just seemingly like confused, right? I mean, obviously we don't know that of her yet, but we know that she increasingly gets like just more concerned and like just kind of oblivious of like what to do and stuff. And then I think that's when we get the shot of him like in the background, and she like screams that he's right there, he's right there. And then she turns around, we see him, and then he pulls a T-1000 on us and starts just sprinting at her. And she's trying, it's like, have you seen those videos of like how fast can you like unlock the door? Like, you know,
like would you survive?
Yeah, would you survive the slasher? You know?
I see. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You try to see if you can unlock it. And that's how it felt to me when I was watching that. And just classic scary movie trope, I guess, you know.
You ever you're like the last one up, and you're the one that has to turn off all the lights. sometimes when I was younger, I'd like turn off all my lights and like sprint back to my room. And
I still do that. I do that every night.
Just like get out, like something's following me.
And I think I was like just in that moment of seeing that happen. You know, you kind of it's an easy way to like do that and like, you know, get the rush going.
Yeah,
but it gets me every time.
Yeah,
I'm like, come on, get it, you know, get out of there. She does. She makes it out of there barely. And then we get Mrs. Olson out of nowhere, just pulls out a knife and starts...
It was the pair of scissors that she grabbed.
Scissors. Yeah. Okay. And starts just wailing on her, kind of like, I mean, just in like an odd robotic kind of way,
right?
You know,
very
just
emotionless.
There you go. And then you immediately get the switch up of knowing that, oh, they got Mrs. Olson too.
Yeah.
So I think that's when we cut to like the next scene there, just kind of goes, oh, she also mentions, doesn't she also say like, I've always wanted to do that?
She does say that, yeah. Mm-hmm. I've always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And again, in a very emotionless kind of state. So
that was a theme that kind of just died there.
It's weird because they mention that later.
Yeah.
Stokely, I think, mentioned something about them losing their emotions kind of thing, you know, like in some of the other science fiction stuff like this. And yeah, you don't really get a lot of that.
I thought a lot of them, I thought every one of them would have like I always wanted to do that kind of a scene, and which is like, you know.
I guess you don't want, like 10, I've always wanted to do that. Like how many people are going to do something to Principal Drake? You know, she's just getting pummeled the whole movie.
I did want.
God, they really hate her.
Before we move from this scene, I was so impressed with how she was moving around those hallways in heels.
Oh,
she
man,
was cooking, bro. She would round a corner and just she was off, and to not roll an ankle, or I was like, she's moving. Good for her. Because I would have for sure.
Yeah, she was athletic around those halls, and then even when she drops the scissors and she's trying to padlock the door again to lock Coach Willis in, she drops those scissors. He reaches for him through the crack in the door and kicks him away really quick. I mean, she's like doing it all.
It's good.
Very good survival instincts.
When a horror movie like that, like little slasher element to this scene, when they're making the right moves,
right,
and they're doing the right.
She's not rolling her ankle. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She's a very capable lady.
Although
but
we do see a little bit of that.
We
with
do
Elijah
get that.
Wood.
Yeah, we get that with Casey a little later.
Oh yeah.
So this is where we get
Lila, wait.
Lila.
We have our main character intros now. So Zeke's pulling up to the school in his sick black what is it, black with red racing stripes?
GTO,
Yeah, the GTO.
Yeah.
He's just whipping into the school parking lot like a real badass. You know, he gets out and Casey
parks like an asshole.
He just like gets out really quick and he opens his trunk. He's grabbing He's grabbing a handful of pens. We don't know what those are yet, but they'll come into play very much so in the.
Loves school, man.
He's
He
taking a lot of
writes
notes. He needs all those pens, and he stuffs them into his pocket. And Casey's just walking, and he's kind of looking off, and he just gets elbowed in the face, and then he apologizes on the ground.
Crazy.
Like he's like literally bleeding from his nose. Sorry, So very. This is
Also, like, yeah, you just get an elbow to the face,
like
man?
just like unbelievable. Who's just like throwing elbows like that? That's crazy. What does this guy
out
ever
of
do?
nowhere. First thing you do is just walk after school in the morning. When you go to school, you get an elbow to the face, amongst other things, throughout the day.
Poor guy.
Jeez.
Gotta feel for Casey, but at least we'll get to some stuff later. So
Elbow's
he comes back
bro.
from this. There's this weird shot that we get of a little fender bender that takes place on the street in front of the school between two female students. And like it is weird, man. I don't know why it like focuses on it so much that these like girls get into this little fender bender, and the girl that got her car bumped into gets out and pulls the other girl out of her car, and then they just start brawling. Very strange. But Stokely's watching this all go down, so she's distracted and bumps into Stan, and Stan's immediately apologizing, but Stokely says, "Walk much?" And he replies, "You walked into me, beast."
Beast.
Then we get to Lila's introduction. She's like talking to, presumably, I don't know if she's talking to like new students or something. I don't know. She's clearly like the popular girl. She's the head cheerleader, but she's also part of the school newspaper. I think she also is part of the welcoming committee. So she does a lot around the school. I assume she's talking to like some new students or something. And Stan goes up to her, it's his girlfriend, tries to kiss her, and she quickly pulls away. And I think she says, these are Estee Lauder lips. They take 72 minutes to apply, so she's very vain. She spends a lot of time on her makeup and doesn't want to kiss her boyfriend because it'll mess up her makeup. And he's kind of annoyed by this and says that he wants to talk. She's got no time for it. She does not want to hear
It's
him
just
out.
like the title between the two. It's not, she doesn't actually.
No, she clearly does not care about him like that. Yeah, and it's because he's, again, captain of the football
she's a bit
team,
of a bee.
head cheerleader. Yeah. Oh, she is a very mean lady, as we'll find out even more going forward. But yeah, so he says he wants to talk. She's not about it. She's just not hearing him out, and they don't get a chance to talk. She darts off. We go back to Casey, and he's now picked up by some bullies on the football team and just gets brutalized. They carry him with his legs spread into a flagpole, crushing his nuts. It's insane, and just drop him on the floor.
Again, where else does this happen? Like this, I hope this is not happening to someone in real life like that.
Makes you almost think, what did Casey do before the events of this movie to deserve this? Maybe he had it coming. I don't know, because that's like an insane amount of abuse just today from what we're seeing. This probably happens every day to him. That's crazy. So
That's just.
There's a lot of kids around. They're seeing this go down.
Oh yeah, no,
man.
they're all.
Just,
In fact, we get our next main character, Mary Beth. She's walking past us.
everybody's
like,
so
what
aggressive
the hell?
in this movie, and I guess that's the point because then
Right? Yeah, we get our personality changes later.
So I guess it's meant to be over the top. Same
Yeah,
thing
I
with
think
those
it's just
girls
like-
fighting. There's no like. It's
Yeah.
just like everybody's just trying to fight one
Everyone's
It's
another.
also
geared
just
up.
that era of movies and like portraying a high school, like,
Yeah.
and then you also have that great alternative rock going over.
Oh god, the music's so funny. I have
Got
something
to,
written down
yes,
later for that.
So it's just all of this is just
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It's playing on the
Right.
tropes. It's definitely playing them up to an exaggerated level.
this type of movie making existed for a 10-year period and never showed its face again, and was never there before, and it had its moment in the sun, and you'll always know what era of movie you're watching.
Like
when-
late 90s, early
Yeah.
2000s, you can
Mhm.
spot it from a mile away.
Dude, this gave me Smallville vibes throughout the whole movie. I swear to you, just without the cursing. That's
Yeah, I was gonna say this is probably a little more extreme than Smallville, but yeah, definitely got that vibe going on.
Mm.
Teen drama and whatnot. But yeah, we get introduced to Mary Beth as she watches on in horror as Casey just gets destroyed by the football team, and she's walking up to these two girls, and she's asking them where the principal's office is. She's introducing herself. She's a new student, got a southern accent. I think she says she's from Atlanta.
Mary Beth.
She's very cute girl, very unassuming, and she's talking to these two tatted up chicks. One of the main girl that she's talking to that does end up pointing her to the principal's office is
doesn't
actually
say a
Robert
word.
Rodriguez's sister. So yeah, it doesn't say a word. She just like just points back.
I wonder whose
Thanks.
decision that was. You think Robert was like, I'm not giving you lines though.
He's like, well, we'll have to pay you if we give you lines. That's a rule too. If you have a line in a movie, yeah, but otherwise you're just an extra. So maybe that is to save some money, but still give her a little cameo.
How cool
Still
is
got
it
in the movie.
No, yeah.
get paid for just like getting shrugged walking down the street?
Yeah.
If you're like an extra that like has to get shrugged and you're just like, hey, watch it, man.
Yeah.
You get to
Like, all right, pay that guy.
Yeah.
That guy said something.
I'm walking.
So then and during all this too, we're getting their like little freeze frame with their name cards too,
Yeah,
which I think
that's
is kind of
great.
cool with like little guitar riffs. It's kind of hilarious. This is when we get this really hilarious kind of repeating kind of vantage point of this couple at this school who are just like screaming at each other. They're screaming at each other. They're calling each other names. The girl's just wailing on the guy the whole time.
Good old young love.
Yeah,
huh?
just young
High
love.
School young love.
It's just insane. And Zeke's looking on at this and he just like finds it hilarious because he's like, what the hell? And he goes into the bathroom. He is selling some fake IDs.
Well, isn't the couple? Is that not the one with the guy from Scary Movie?
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's the first appearance.
He's the
of them.
Billy Loomis
Because we see them
ripoff.
throughout the film.
Yeah.
Obviously, switch up. With
This is the
their
first time we
attitudes
see
and
him.
stuff,
You're
but
correct. Yeah.
yeah.
This I don't know the actor's name and I don't know the
I
character he
couldn't tell you.
plays
But you know,
in Scary
but you'll
Movie.
see him and you'll know who
Mhm.
it is when you see him in the clip.
You know, you know.
So
You know.
that's a pretty funny little cameo from him. But yeah, Zeke's selling fake IDs to these kids. This is where we're gonna get a good old fashioned boo to Danny Masterson. I'm not even gonna mention what he's done. Look it up if you really want. The guy's terrible. You know him from probably that 70s show. Terrible
that
guy.
dude-
So
That dude sucks.
boo
Mhm.
Danny Masterson. That's
Yeah.
all I'm gonna say about him.
Boo.
Um,
Boo,
Oh,
boo,
I
boo.
think his like he's titled as like fuck up number 1 or something.
Yeah.
So
The credit.
it
pretty
he
appropriate.
kind of lived
Yeah.
up to that, right?
And this is when Zeke, they're not convinced about the fake IDs. They don't think they're going to work because clearly the pictures aren't, they're completely different guys in the picture. And he's like, all right, well, I'll throw in some of these. And he has those pens that he grabbed from his trunk earlier. He has drugs in the pen capsules
Of course.
basically. And he's like telling him, these are
You
guaranteed
mean
to
he's
jack
not
you
a
up.
scholar?
No, apparently not. I guess he's not taking notes with those. He's a drug dealer. He is the school's drug dealer. And he says these are guaranteed to jack you up. And Casey, the camera overhead, he's in the stall right outside of them. And he
Yeah.
just,
He's like tending to his wounds.
yeah, he's
right?
tending to his bloody nose and he's just hiding in there
He's
basically. But he
messed up.
overhears that.
Seems like he's crying a little bit. Like, my God.
And
Poor guy.
Poor guy.
Scat is the name of this
Yes.
magic dust. Scat.
This is his own recipe. He called it this. He didn't have to
Yeah.
call it scat, but he did.
Scat. Skitty scat.
Seth, do you want to
Scat.
tell us about the next scene here?
About getting into our antagonists here.
Yeah,
The faculty.
the faculty.
So we get Nurse Harper, Selma Hayek. But she's all kind of sick in there, and they're like, you gotta just take the day off, and very relatable. She said, I'm saving my sick days for when I feel better. It's like, yeah, true that. Mr. Furlong, he's the science guy, right?
Yeah.
And so he says, maybe you can just put a pin in my eye.
John Stewart, by the
Yeah,
way.
John
he's,
Stewart.
yeah. So we get these guys. This is where we get our first indication that whatever happens to these people when they get switched,
Mhm.
they love to drink their water.
Right.
He's just camped out at the jug with the paper triangle or the paper cone cups. Those are always so great to drink out of. And he's just going to town. And like people are going about their business, but then people will stop to they'll look at him for a second. And we get Miss Olsen, the art teacher or theater teacher.
Theater teacher, yeah.
She comes in, and when we first see her, she's in like the William Shakespeare getup. They really stereotypically like old theater teacher dressed her up, and she comes in with a little more swag to her, a little more like eyeshadow.
Got her hair done.
Yeah,
She got a
she's-
little bob now. Yeah.
she's feeling a little frisky out there. And then she walks in with the face and just kind of like strutting around. And Coach turns and said, Miss Olsen, you're looking very pretty today. Everyone's just kind of like, okay. And
And she's the mom from Carrie, correct?
I believe so. Yes. Yeah. So there's a lot of crossover with a lot of horror actors in
I
this.
always forget his name. Is it I'm not gonna say it, but
I know who
T-1000.
Dude, and I forget his name too. I don't know why.
Is it Patrick or?
There's definitely a Patrick in his name. I'm curious. I'm looking it up now. It is Robert Patrick.
Robert
Patrick, the
Shout out.
T1000 from T2.
And he does do a little nod to his T1000.
Yeah.
That sprint that we see in that hallway.
It's definitely giving off those robotic vibes.
Oh yeah.
And
robotic killer.
From there, it's established who, it's a great put them in the arena. As the viewer, you're sitting there. Okay, so these people are all going to get picked off probably and turned into aliens, or whatever we're dealing with. So that was a fun little scene.
Just kind of setting the stage. Yeah.
And now we get to a classroom scene where we discover that Zeke is quite the whiz kid. Quite the
pretty smart. He is the intellect. Yeah.
He just apply himself, But so the teacher, Miss Burke, she's very she's not confident.
She's
in teaching
very nervous.
She's like not sure.
She's
giving
such a weird vibe. Like it's so strange.
She was like a student doing a presentation.
Oh yeah, that's a good way to describe it.
It was. I was like, what's going on? What's her vibe? And she's trying to get them to talk about this book.
Her cut first of all.
Oh, awful.
Oh god.
Pretty bad. She got like the little micro bangs.
Pretty woman,
and she looks like.
Why did they do that to her?
I don't know if you guys ever seen Scream 3. She looks like Courtney Cox in Scream 3. Horrible haircut.
Courtney Cox notoriously never has her hair like her hair's always.
Josh
wonky.
Hartnett and her
especially in that movie.
Sat in the barber shop chair and said, "Fuck me up."
Josh Hartnett, he just looked in the mirror and said that.
Yeah, dude, Josh Hartnett's cutting his own hair, and she said, "Give me some of that."
Yeah.
I love
what he's got.
What you're doing, man. Let me get some of that.
Maybe Josh cut her hair.
I know, he had to. He cut both their hair with his eyes closed. Yeah, man.
So Zeke actually speaks up about this book, Robinson Crusoe, by Daniel Defoe, and he gives an answer that she's like, she's like, no, and then he doesn't back down. He gives further insight into what he's trying to get at, and then she's like, oh, yeah. She like kind of it changes her mind, and he's like, oh, you're not just this drug dealer. You actually have a mind, and so
you actually have a mind.
Not that all you drug dealers out there don't have minds. So we cut away to Stan talking to Delilah, and he's telling her that he's gonna quit the football team, and she's like, what about college? He's like I thought. He's like, I thought maybe I could get in there without football. And she's like, no, you can't. Just straight dissing him, and he thinks that if he worked a little harder, he could get his grades a little higher. And she's just like not. She's
such a bitch to him, and he's just wearing all of it. He's like trying to make these comebacks, just not hitting it at all,
Yeah, and she literally tells him, "Stick to what you're good at." Yeah.
Again, this is boyfriend and girlfriend.
Get out of there.
Yeah,
man.
poor Stan, dude. He's just wearing it.
This line is what is she supposed to do while he's on a yellow brick quest for a brain?
It's brutal, man. She says it so sharply too. Just like she doesn't skip a beat.
It. Oh yeah, it's very believable. She's great acting because like it's damn.
Yeah. Puts him down. I mean, he's just like totally defeated.
Let's see if you can hit the what she responds with when he calls her superficial. Do you know what she says back to him?
What did she say?
She says, superficial? Oh, 4 syllables. That's really good, Stan. You're on your way. Just bunking him. Oh my gosh. He's like, Stan's just defeated. He's like, I was hoping you'd be in on this with me. Because she's trying to, they're the cheerleader and quarterback.
Right.
You gotta stay true to that. And if you're not, then I can't.
And again, she's not with it.
Like, I don't date geeks.
Yeah, she's like, studying, Stan. Come on, like, what are you trying to pull here? Like you're not an intellect. You just got to play football. It's your only shot in college. So
Stan is left confused, and
Well, then we get our next scene here.
Sad, too.
We see Mr. Tate, first of all, who we saw in the faculty lounge for a bit, and he had a flask that he's pouring some alcohol into his coffee, clearly getting loaded just to get through the day. Poor guy, clearly going through it.
I don't know that guy's name, but I know I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. But first thing that comes to mind when I see that guy, Seinfeld. He's Mr. Kruger. Just want to point that out. There's a lot of notable actors in this movie.
Yeah, a lot of like character actors.
For their come ups, really.
Yeah.
Most of them.
They start to get going. He tells the class to turn to page whatever, and then Stan raises his hand excitedly, and he's like, "Actually, Mr. Tate, I think we're on chapter 5." And Mr. Tate's like, "Whatever," and takes a sip of his alcohol-filled coffee. So Stokely is sitting outside here in this next scene because we kind of cut over. She's sitting alone at a little table by herself, and Mary Beth approaches her and asks her she asks her what she's reading. She notices a science fiction novel, and she asks, "You one of them science fiction people? Y'all believe in alternate universes and alien beings and stuff?" So really being like pretty inquisitive about what she's reading here, but very matter of fact too. Mary Beth, so she tries to introduce herself, like, "I'm Mary Beth." She's kind of doing her whole spiel, like, "I'm from Atlanta, blah, blah, whatever. I'm not from here." And Stokely's like, "Yeah, no shit." And she's like, "Why do you want to know? Like, why do you want to know my name?" Like she does not want to talk to her. She does not want to be engaging with her. She just wants to be left alone. She's clearly a loner in that way.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't have a lot of good experiences, presumably, with a lot of people at school. And Mary Beth states that she wants to know her name because she doesn't have any friends. But she also knows
From the
that
looks
Stokely...
of it, you ain't got no friends either.
But then this conversation gets cut short as Delilah walks over and introduces herself to Mary Beth. And she's just digging it Stokely bad. So we kind of get an indication of some bad blood between the two for probably some time.
She probably has beef with about everybody in the school.
Oh, yeah,
probably.
definitely.
Anybody she interacts with, I'm sure she's just letting him have it.
Yeah. But I feel like Stokely maybe gets a good brunt of it, just considering
I would argue
a person.
Stan gets it more.
Actually, you're right. Stan definitely has it worse. Yeah. He's supposed to have it good.
Man.
Yeah, you're right. She asked Delilah asked Mary Beth if she says, "I hope you're not a violent lesbian like your newfound friend here." And Mary Beth responds, "I'm not aware of any lesbianism in my lineage." Stokely storms off and shoulder checks Delilah on the way out, and Delilah kind of makes a comment about that too, that she is violent, and Mary Beth's left there alone. Cut to our next scene. Casey's he's eating lunch all alone out in the bleachers of the football
all
stadium.
the way at the top too.
All the way at the top, like tippy top, and we get this really cool shot. I actually really like the shot of it's really, really zoomed out, and it slowly keeps like kind of cutting towards him and zooming in, and so it's kind of a neat shot. And he comes down from the bleachers eating lunch, and he notices something on the grass, some kind of like little something. I don't even know what it is quite yet. He doesn't either, that's for sure.
But enough to know like what, like to pick it up and like ask what the hell this thing is.
Yeah. And that's when he gets confronted from behind. Coach Willis approaches him. He asks him what he's doing on the
This is
field.
honestly probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
This is hilarious. This is such a funny scene.
I love this so much.
Casey whips around. I was just eating my lunch, sir. Coach Willis points out, "This ain't the cafeteria, son." So Casey starts to dart off, and Coach asks him, he asks him his name. He says, "I've seen you around. You're not really into sports much." Casey says, "Hey, this might be one of my favorite lines in the whole movie."
This is mine.
Because he whips around again and he goes, "I don't think a person should run unless he's being chased," which is so fucking weird to say. Like,
Bro,
what an odd thing to say to someone.
Oh my god.
That's honestly
'Cause
so
he had that
funny.
This
geared
guy's
up, too.
spooked already. Like you see it on his face.
He has his
the way-
shoulders kind of like
the way he
he's tucked
delivers
away.
it. Yeah, he's scared.
Very
man.
nervous.
Like,
And
what-
Coach
oh
Willis
my
is
God.
taking a lot of
His
pleasure in
aura
this.
went up in my book.
Well, hey, I'm just saying the coach, if he wasn't an alien, he received that response.
Mhm.
Like, whoa, hey, relax, kid. Like, whoa.
But Coach Willis is loving this. He's like kind of toying with him,
Yeah,
you
he
know?
loves
And
it.
he responds to this by saying, "Being chased. I like that." And just smiles at him like a freak, dude. It's so funny. He says it in like the most sinister tone. and then he kind of lurches at Casey, like, "Get out of here." And
Get outta here.
Casey literally just like skedaddles, dude. It's so funny. He just scurries off. It's so
It was
funny,
such a
bro.
skedaddle.
Like,
Get out of here.
like a wild animal or something. Like, get out of here.
He just
scurries off.
He's like little footsteps, and he just kind of takes off. Bro. It's so funny. We cut to Stokely in the halls, and she's walking past Mrs. Olsen, and they're just kind of dogging each other.
Dude.
Mrs. Olsen has a very, very like blank face expression, and Stokely's kind of weirded out, like, what the fuck's her problem, you know? And they're like staring each other down, and Stokely kind of just keeps like, what the hell? Mrs. Olsen then goes into Mrs. Brummel's classroom and asks if she could speak to her alone, and closes the door ominously behind her and giving Stokely one last kind of stare down. And Stokely, freaked out by this, starts to back away, bumping into Stan once again. And she tells him to get a fucking eye dog. That's on her 100%. Oh, you think it's on?
I think he's on Stan.
You think so?
She's turning around. He's approaching that direction.
Yeah, I guess
Keep
he
your
has a
eyes in
better
front,
view on
pal.
her. I guess that was the case the first time too.
Yeah.
But it's also like she's kind of like not looking where she's going, then whipping a certain way, you know?
I think so too.
You got to be able to pull the juke stick on him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, kind of step out of the way.
He's also a quarterback. You should have better self-awareness.
Dude,
you know?
better vision.
Better
Yeah,
reaction
that's what I'm
time.
saying.
Even.
Probably a good thing he's quitting.
That's true. Probably best that Usher takes over for him.
Well, his mind is full of like what is happening to me right now.
Yeah.
And she says, "Get a fucking eye dog," and he responds with, "Maybe if you didn't paint your fucking eyes shut."
Beast.
Beast is so funny.
Beast.
Tanner, where do we go from here after that short little scene?
We get Casey, and he still has that thing that he picked up from the grass there, and we still don't know what the hell it is. And he's bringing it to his science teacher, Mr. Furlong, John Stewart. He's the expert on extraterrestrial beings, but at
High school science teacher.
At least he knows enough to like check it out and know that like this might be a new organism and stuff. And then is that when Usher like chimes in and
yeah, he's like, yeah, right.
Yeah, like he's like, no, things get discovered every day.
Yeah.
I like that. And I know
the little smirk he gives it, like, and that Casey gives back to him is like, I think you might have found yourself I think you might have found a new organ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I did.
And they're just like kind of testing it out, and we also get Zeke checking it out because he's the science master.
He jumps up from the table finally.
He's like he
like kind of pushes Mr. Furlong out of the way.
Let me get in on
microscope.
this.
Yeah,
you know, I'll tell you what's what here. And then he's kind of just agreeing like this thing's just otherworldly.
Yeah.
It's weird looking, and that's when we get like someone bumping into Usher. Might have been his.
It was Stokely. Because Usher makes a comment to her. He makes some kind of alien related comment to her, making fun of her that maybe they're related or something. And she kind of bumps him with her shoulder, knocking some water into the onto the organism now. And we see it kind of almost resuscitate. It starts moving about a little bit as if the water kind of brought it back to life.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mr. Furlong notices that, and then he decides to go put it in his spare fish tank there with nothing in it. Apparently,
why does he have this big tank of water for nothing?
But
Very
he puts
weird.
it in there. We'll go along with it. It's fun. He puts it in there, and then we get everybody, surrounding it again, kind of checking it out because they see it like just growing. Grows these like, what would you call those?
Little tendrils.
Tendrils.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. And it's just growing, and they're like, whoa, they're kind of all amazed. They're all. I think Mr. Furlong is ready for the bag. I think he makes a comment like, something about it being like just a new discovery.
They're gonna get some
and all
like federal
that,
grant money. Yeah, that's what he's anticipating.
This guy, because he's just the smartest human being, I guess, at that school, he decides to put his finger in the water, and this thing we see like. It's honestly for a 98 film that I think had like a 15 mil budget around there. The CGI and stuff, like the visual effects, I think are pretty decent.
Most of it is like serviceable.
Time,
There's maybe some stuff I'll talk about a little bit later.
Oh,
that's
sure.
like kind of hokey, but
I mean, again, for
like
you understand the context.
Spy Kid CGI, that Dimensions.
Sure, those are even later though. I know, this is
but
98. I think before 2000.
Makes sense for Robert Rodriguez, director of the Spy Kids franchise.
For the context of this movie and the budget and everything, not bad.
No, definitely not.
See that thing open its teeth? It's got teeth. Bites him, and he starts bleeding. He's yeah. So we see it like also the organism like split in two.
Right.
So it cloned itself, and they're like, whoa, you know, they're so amazed. And that's when he reassures, yeah, he just says like, he just tells the class like it's like it's okay, and Casey, I think, is just asked like, where did it get teeth? Because
Yeah.
it's just it wasn't like living or seemingly like
They
it
literally
was
like sprouted the teeth in real
Yeah,
time. He
it
was
was just
like,
growing,
it has teeth.
cloning.
Where did it get teeth?
And then I think that's when we get our next scene there. That's kind of the end of that.
Yeah. So we cut to Stan. He's finally decided, yeah, I'm quitting the football team. I'm gonna tell coach. So he goes to talk to him, and they're like at the swimming pool at the school, and he goes up to talk to him and tell him that he's quitting. And the coach's reaction, he does not seem to mind at all, even though, as we know, he's quite the hothead. So kind of a surprising reaction that his star
Cool, calm, and
quarterback,
collected.
yeah, is just like quitting the team right before the big game on Friday, and he's totally okay with that. He says that he's not going to stand in the way of the human condition, and Stan is pretty relieved at this.
Human, yeah.
He's like, thanks for not reaming me, coach. And the coach responds to him with, what kind of human being would I be if I did that? Again, kind of doubling down on the human being aspect of it, because he's obviously no longer human. And he kind of gives him a creepy smile as he walks away. And Stan, he goes into the locker room to get ready to shower. And Casey's being picked on by Usher and another buddy of theirs on the football team. And he's kind of being harassed, and then they kind of lose focus on that and go to talk to Stan. So Stan kind of inadvertently saved him from whatever
I
bullying
think
was about
he
to
know.
happen.
Well, he saw that, and he was kind of like,
I think he said like guys or something, like Stan, and then they walked over, but he didn't really like stop it.
No, I thought he was like not saying anything directly to what he was doing, but I thought he like almost called his name intentionally to like get him like his attention to him instead of
He may have, I
Casey.
don't know. I kind of took it as even watching that scene back, I kind of took it as like he kind of just got their attention. It just so happened to help out Casey, but it didn't really seem like he cared too much what would happen to him anyways. Could be wrong though. Stan seems like a pretty good guy for the most part, so maybe he was trying to make it seem like that without also losing his cool factor, you know. And for some reason, Casey remarks to Stan, he's like kind of sarcastically saying like, it must really blow being you. And Stan is like, you have no idea. And he walks away. But again, I don't know what that means. I know he kind of has like this internal struggle, but he just dealt with that because he's off the football team. He quit under his own accord. And he's pretty relieved the coach wasn't mad at him. It seemed like that was kind of his biggest hang up, if anything. Whatever. We go into our next scene because Stan's getting in the shower.
Maybe he's alluding to like the pressure that he has on him, or
I guess
don't
so.
know.
Yeah. And I guess he still has a long road ahead of him academically to kind of make up for some of the poor performances he had there. Try to get into college that way. But cuts to him to he's taking a steamy shower. Yeah, he's all alone in the shower, and he hears something, and then the audience, we see some really disgusting feet. Get this really close-up shot of these feet entering the room, and you're like, oh God, what is this? You know? And he can't see anything. He's got shampoo all over. Yo, Casey, is that you?
Yeah, I like how he's looking over, and it's like just soaked up all over,
everywhere.
and it's like he thinks he's like, what is he doing? Just wash it off. You're right in front of the shower, dude.
Well, then he gets the bright idea to wash it off. And
I
kind
know,
of like
but I love
wipe it
that
off.
look when he's like looking over with
Yo,
all the
Casey,
soap
is
on
that
him.
you? So
He's moving his head as if like he's looking.
So he quickly rinses off the shampoo, and he looks over to where that figure would have been. No one there. And then right behind him, Mrs. Brummel, the old lady who we barely
this is
even
like
seen.
the most disturbing scene.
This is disgusting.
nasty.
She kind of jump scares him from behind, and he's like, Mrs. Brummel, what the fuck? Like, why is she in the showers, like in the men's shower room? Like, what is happening right now? And she's like pleading for help though. She clearly looks like in pain. Her face is like kind of peeling and stuff. Like it looks really gross. And he's like freaking out now. And that's
like
when
the
Casey enters the shower.
Well, he's like holding her, dude.
Well, not quite yet. That's right after that. So
okay.
Casey enters, and because she's like pleading for help, and he's like, "Go get help." He tells Casey to get help, and then she kind of comes in, and he kind of starts to embrace her
Casey's
a little
face
bit.
sold it when he saw like like he just like witnessed.
Yeah, like what
Oh
the
my
fuck was
God.
that? What is
So,
happening?
would you have accepted The Shining as a reference for the way she looks
There is I believe there is a Shining
in terms of
reference in
Is
there, if I
there?
remember
Okay.
right. I
terms
don't
of
know if that was it or not.
the
I just
bathtub
remember
scene?
what
Yeah, I would probably accept that. I know I said I wasn't going to be lenient today on it. I guess I was pretty lenient on that one. That one is tough. I'll admit. Again, there was a lot of answers. I thought you guys skipped over all the obvious ones, but
Mhm.
alas.
Not that I had that before we got to this moment,
Yeah.
but I did just
You trying to retroactively get some points, Seth? It's not going to happen, buddy. You lost fair and square. Tanner crushed
give me
you.
half point.
I'll give you
I
that
didn't
half
see you
point.
take a shot.
You still lost by like 3.
Huh?
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
So yeah, he embraces her, kind of trying to comfort this old woman who's clearly distraught and in some sort of pain.
Oh,
And he
I'd be
touches
doing
her
that.
hair,
Oh yeah.
and oh my god, it like peels her scalp off a little bit, and he like drops it on the ground and just like is no words, you know?
I will say Stan is a way better man than I am because I would have been full Heisman stance on her, dude. I'd get away from me.
Dude.
What is happening?
Yeah,
right
that would
now?
have I would have just
I
darted
would have
out
got
of
the
there.
hell out of
Yeah.
it, man.
First side of that, I'm gone.
Stan couldn't be me, bro. I don't know. You're down bad. I don't know what
He's
you're
the jock
thinking.
with the heart of gold. It's a good guy. That's
I
Stan.
mean, he didn't really help her, but I mean,
Well,
what
I think
could
he was
do?
trying to be there emotionally for her.
Sure,
He didn't know
sure.
what was happening. He didn't think her scalp was gonna peel off, you know. So he's just trying to like, oh my god, this old lady probably doesn't know what's going on right now. She's like freaking out. Like Mrs. Brumwell, this is a teacher at the school.
Yeah, but this dude's taking a like the setting,
I know.
man.
I mean,
get the hell away from me.
yeah, no, it's pretty
There's a
odd, but-
time and a place to help someone.
Yeah. So we cut to Stan speaking with Mrs. Olsen, like somewhere in the office or something about the incident that just occurred. And Casey's also there, of course, because he was there to witness it and try to get her help. He's kind of off to the side while Mrs. Olsen and Stan discuss it. And she's telling him basically to keep it on the low, because she's making something up that like she has a condition and this and that. She didn't know what was going on. So he's like, yeah, I understand. It's obviously not, we as the audience, we know that's not what's happening. But he's like, yeah, I understand. And Casey, he peeks out the window that he's sitting next to. And this is where we get maybe the funniest shot in the movie. I think maybe second to another one that we get later. But he's looking out the window and he notices the coach standing in the sprinklers, arms crossed and all, just legs spread, just staring at him from afar. And he's like, he has to like almost double take it. This like, what the hell am I looking at right now? Pulls out his camera and he zooms into him. Sure enough, yeah, he's just dogging him.
Coach standing in front of the sprinklers. Sure.
Insane. He's like, he doesn't believe
Arms
what he's looking
crossed,
at.
legs
He's
kind
looking
of
right at
spaced
him
out.
too.
Yeah.
So he's really freaked out by this, and he's extremely distracted because Mrs. Olsen is asking Casey now if he understands to keep this on the low, and she keeps trying to get his attention. Like, Casey,
I would have been like, did
Casey?
you see this guy?
yeah, like what the
He's
fuck is
just
happening, hey,
drenched,
man?
just
What?
dogging me right now? Like what?
And then we get a funny little editing shot right here. Like, this is hilarious. Like, she keeps like, Casey, and it's like slowly zooming in on her, and then just like ding, 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 and it like cuts like 3 times closer to her in like this zoom
I
cut.
love that.
So funny. It's so
Yeah.
like actually so dumb. And then he's like, yeah, you know, he kind of agrees. But then where do we go from here? This next scene.
We get Miss Burke confronting Zeke at his car and telling him that basically you can't be selling drugs in
Yeah.
school, man. And
I do want to know, in this scene, he's actually selling some nudie scenes from some other
Right.
movies. He has like VHS tapes of some movies.
he's just an all-around entrepreneur.
He mentions, though, by name, Nev Campbell, who is the lead in the Scream franchise, and Jennifer Love Hewitt, who's the lead in I Know What You Did Last Summer, both Kevin Williamson
Yeah.
movies. So I
Okay.
thought that was kind of funny.
Nice. There you go. But yeah, they're talking. He's like, I'm on my car. It's my property. You can't stop me here. And then she kind of presses him, kind of like, you know, if you would try, you could be really, really good. And then he like tries to sell her laxatives and a condom or something.
I think he said like flavored condoms or something.
Yeah,
like
they're
that.
cherry
He's
flavored
just
condoms.
being
Yeah.
he's just being a snarky.
Mhm.
He's just being snarky with her at this point. Like, get out of my face, lady.
See, now the
He's
condoms,
a
though, in
second year
particular.
senior, man.
Yeah.
He's too cool for school.
Super
Already.
senior.
Yeah.
those the condoms though, that's what really upsets her. Because she like gets very kind of like uncomfortable when he mentions that to her.
That would upset me too.
But I think it's kind of alluding to maybe a past romantic relationship between the two. I assume they've like hooked up or something, and that's why she acts the way she does. She's very sheepish around the school because I think she's trying to just keep a low profile. She doesn't want people to find out that she's maybe done something with a student inappropriately, and he takes advantage of this by kind of bullying her and almost like making her feel like shit for what she's done, for a mistake that she's made. Not that that's like a mistake people make, by the way. That's bad on her end. She's like an adult and she's an authority figure, and she's like, if that is the case, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but that's kind of the vibe I got. And by the ending of the movie, we kind of get confirmation with that. But I'll get to that once we're at the very end of the film. But it kind of confirms what I think. So, just want to throw that out there.
Jean Grey is not the best, huh? She's also a Bond girl, right?
She's a Bond villain girl, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, but she is by extension a Bond girl. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think we mentioned that.
Famke Janssen, I believe is her name, the actress.
Dude, I forget.
I think it's Famke Janssen. I think is her name.
You're right. Yeah. I always forget her first name because I don't know how to like say it.
See, another star before they were a star.
Yeah.
Although she may have done. She didn't do Bond yet, right?
Yeah.
Or she did. Okay.
I
did Bond,
so.
but not. Oh, and X-Men is 2 years later, 2000.
Yes.
Yeah. So he'd go on to be bigger too, even from there. From there though, we get Casey and Delilah. They're talking about. So I guess they both work for the school newspaper.
Yeah,
presumably
he's the photographer.
He's the photographer.
Yeah.
She's editor in chief. So she kind of calls the shot, and he's talking about this new organism that he may have discovered, this new species, and he's real excited about it, saying like, "Oh, maybe we could do a story on that." And she's giving him shit like, "Oh yeah, people would rush to the newsstand for that." Which, by the way, bro, you're talking about the school newspaper. First of all, chill out. Like, what are you talking about? You're not selling these things, presumably. Like, it's free. It's a school newspaper, but whatever. And he's like, "Why do you rag on me so much? What did I do?" And she sarcastically replies, she's like, "Nothing. It's just your fate. You're that geeky Stephen King kid. There's one of you in every school." Now, the Stephen King reference there, I would have accepted. Like, so I guess The Shining would work as far as a reference with that even, but
it's
I would
not in the way I was thinking about it.
No, see, that one probably wouldn't apply to what she's talking about. Probably more like It, I'd assume. Something like that. Someone with kids, you know. But so Delilah wants to go into the faculty lounge for some dirt on the teachers to report on for the school newspaper.
Investigative journalism.
Yeah. And Casey obviously doesn't want to go in, but she goes in anyways, and he follows after. And she's just rifling through all their belongings, like looking for something to talk about. And she notices medication that Nurse Harper has, and she's making snide comments about Mr. Tate's alcoholism and like his wife leaving him and stuff. It's really brutal. Like, she's mean to everyone. She has a whip for everyone too. And Casey, he says, "God, you can be such a," and she kind of cuts him off. She's like, "What?" He's like, "Pretty cool human being when you're not being a first class grade A bitch."
Yes, Casey.
Drops a bomb. Kind of stands up for himself a little bit, lets her have it. And
it's those switcheroo. It's the Bane switch there.
Yeah.
You think like, oh, he's gonna not say what he's actually feeling. Nah,
he lets
gotcha. Got him.
But she finds this amusing. She kind of gives him a flirty smile, and she's like, "Are you hitting on me, Casey?" And he denies this.
Like, what the fuck?
He's like,
"What's wrong?"
No,
I just think you're.
Yeah, He's just saying like, "Yeah, I think you can be cool, but this is not one of those times." You know. They start to share a smile, kind of having a moment with each other. But then Casey notices under the door some footsteps approaching, and they quickly hide in the closet, in a utility closet nearby. So Mrs. Olson and Coach Willis enter the room, and they're talking about Mrs. Brummel not taking to the whatever they're doing, this kind of alien invasion of sorts. They said the heat got to her, and her body was too old to take. So they're listening to this, and then while they're listening to this, Casey leans over and just sniffs Delilah's hair.
Oh yeah, dude.
So weird. And she kind of gives him.
She's like,
her first reaction is like, "What the fuck?" And then she's kind of like, "Actually," and kind of like, she's fucking into it. I'm like, bro, you both are fucking
what
you
freaks,
deserve
bro.
each other, you freaks.
Sorry, Stan.
Well, why
Casey
did they put
swiping
that
the
in the
girl.
movie? I
I
don't know.
don't know.
I just
The
don't think you
sniffing
need
the
to
hair,
have any of that.
That's
like,
too far for me.
that doesn't build anything. I mean, I get it. Like you're trying to insinuate that they're something's
Sniffing
going
her
on,
hair,
but
though?
exactly,
That is insane.
You already had that first bit. We don't need a
Yeah.
consecutive one right after.
Maybe
We
you
get
have
it. We
another
get
one of
it,
those or something,
right? And
but
then
yeah.
in such a weird way. I mean, it makes for a good laugh.
Maybe
but
even do something where because they're huddled up in there, they're so close to each other. Maybe they kind of like, she like grabs his hand out of fear or something, and they kind of notice like, oh, we're holding hands.
And
You know,
let
something like that.
Robert
Why is he-
Rodriguez.
That was,
code
No.
that was a half-court shot with time still in the second quarter.
literally a Hail Mary for no reason. He sniffs her hair and she's into it. So
Yeah.
it worked out, I guess, in that moment. But also we get Mrs. So they go up to the water cooler.
Well, I was just gonna say, go ahead and describe it, but
They pour up those little paper cones, and
Mhm.
Mrs. Olsen just splashes herself in the face with hers. She doesn't drink it. She just throws it in her face, like kind of fucking up her hair and stuff. It's kind of funny.
dude, I saw behind the scenes take of that scene when they do that, bro. Right after he says cut, dude, they all just start laughing their ass off. It's so funny. It's great.
It's a clearly
Because it's exactly what you
intentionally funny scene.
expect. You're
Yeah.
like, what the fuck? But that's how they were too. They just, they're just having fun on set.
So dumb.
And
It's such a funny shot.
it's part of the greatness of this movie. But was that before or after they saw Mrs. Olsen do that, where he sniffs the hair?
He sniffs it after.
That's even weirder.
It
'Cause, like,
is
they don't know
weird.
what's going
'Cause
on.
they
But
do
then
that-
you notice that.
She does that like immediately when they enter the room, and then they're listening in on the
Bro,
conversation.
because
and he just,
wouldn't you be like,
He's like, well, if
yo,
this
what
room
the
is weird, I'm gonna get weirder.
yeah, she's like, fuck, I'm gonna let my freak flag fly, baby. We're all getting a little freaky in here. Yeah, it's fucking weird. I don't
would you
get
even
it.
say no? Okay. Never
What?
mind.
Oh no, no, tell us, Tanner.
I thought you were
I think
going
you want to
with
say
it.
it. I think I wasn't
All
actually.
right. They're getting a little freaky naughty.
So Nurse Harper walks into the factory lounge and she's kind of talking to them like, oh, I thought I was the last one here or whatever, because it's like after hours at the school. And she's like, there's not enough drugs in this world, because she's still very sick and she's popping some pills, her medication that was in her bag. She's like drinking some like orange juice or something out of the fridge. And while she's chugging this orange juice, Coach Willis slowly approaches her from behind, and she kind of turns around to the, the shock that he's right behind her, and kind of bumps into the closet that the kids are in. And she kind of like, the fuck? She doesn't even say anything to this, and she kind of like skirts around him, and she's like slowly backing away. Mrs. Olsen corners in on her too, and now they've got her pinned basically. So
I want to mention with her reaction, and then also Principal Drake's reaction to their first like encounter with them, just being just noticeably weird. I know you're not going to assume, oh, they're being taken over by like an alien parasite, but at the same time, man, how are you not having more of a reaction? I don't know. Again,
no, I agree.
I love it. I guess. Again,
I think the one with Principal Drake makes a little more sense, because they're completely alone at night, and I think she is scared. But I think it's like in a way that, okay, if I do escalate things and he does do something, and he has been drinking. This one's like just after school hours. Mrs. Olsen is right there. She's like, what the fuck? Like, she just thinks it's like kind of weird, and then kind of realizes like, oh, now I'm being kind of cornered in here. And by then it's too late, because Coach Willis grabs her and pins her to this little seat right there and kind of lays her down. She's screaming. She's like, looking up at Miss Olsen, who's just peering over her very, very evilly.
So they get like heightened strength when they get.
It seems like it,
right?
definitely. Yeah, they definitely have like some kind of enhanced abilities. Yeah, and then he leans in and shoots the little parasite out of his mouth, because his face starts to transform disgustingly, and he shoots it into her ear, and
same
blood
thing with
spurts out.
her like head, like she gets like the like vein things or whatever.
So I guess that's part of the assimilation process, and she screams in pain, and that's when the kids in the closet kind of freak out, and Delilah bumps into the corpse of Mrs. Brummel that they were hiding in there, and Coach hears the noise, the ruckus in there, and goes to investigate. And as he's approaching the closet door and going to open it,
Could you describe this ruckus? I'm sorry.
Casey pops out. I mean, honestly, with way more courage than I probably would in this scenario, with a broomstick, and just jabs him in the stomach, knocking him over and pushing him out of the way. And Delilah comes out and just fucking like just lays out Mrs. Olsen over a table. It's funny. Like, she just like
Trucks the hell out of her.
trucks her, dude. And she like flips over the
Get
table.
her on the team.
Yeah, they could use her.
Holy shit.
And they run out of the room, and last second Nurse Harper reaches out and grabs Delilah's ankle, so she's clearly been turned, as we've already seen, but it's already taken over very quickly. And Casey helps her get away. They start to run away. They run into Principal Drake in the hallway. Now,
Well, I love it when she grabs her ankle, because it's like that, like classic like zombie like, type of horror, you know. Where it's just like very like
monster on the ground, getting the ankle,
Like, of course,
like last minute, and I love that. Again, they're doing everything, any reference you could think of to any horror movie in existence.
Definitely, yeah, a lot of very clearly playing on the tropes of the genres.
It's having fun.
Yeah, they run into Principal Drake, and now this is odd because as the viewer, we saw Principal Drake get stabbed to death at the beginning of the film by Mrs. Olsen. Yet here she is walking around completely fine, and they approach her and they're very panically, telling her what just transpired in the faculty lounge. She's like, whoa, what's going on? Like, kind of like, the fuck are you talking about? Mr. Tate walks up as well, and he's kind of like, what's going on? And she's like, I don't know. They're talking fucking nonsense. And they're trying to say, like, Nurse Harper was attacked. And they're like, just ask her. And they turn around. Nurse Harper walks out of the room. She's totally fine. She's kind of giving a ominous smile with Coach Willis and Mrs. Olsen. They all realize, or Casey and Delilah now realize what's going on. And they run away. And this is where we get them turning the corner and Casey slipping and falling. Delilah, wait! Like a fucking
Get
idiot.
up!
Bro, stand up.
Get up,
They
dude.
weren't even chasing them.
I love
That's
that.
the funniest part.
Yeah, throughout the whole movie when he's running, he's always like kind of slipping and sliding and, just doing the most. But I mean, he does have wheels on him a little bit.
He's
It's
cooking.
just,
Well,
Delilah, wait.
we do
it's
get
just
reference to
come
that in
on,
the
get
later
up,
scene.
bro.
Yeah.
that's
They were not even chasing them. That's how I think. He's like, Delilah, and she's probably thinking like, bro, get the fuck up and run.
Oh,
then.
she's out of there.
Yeah,
She
she's
ain't
gone. Oh, she
waiting.
literally leaves without him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she's
not
gone.
waiting.
that was the Frodo in him.
Yeah.
That's where they saw the magic for the Hobbit, for that little Hobbit to Delilah.
Who's
He like kind of like ducks his head down too. He's like, "Fine, I'll get up."
like, oh yeah, I guess I could just stand up by
Oh, they're
myself.
not behind me.
He's not
Oh,
hurt or anything. He just like
No.
fell down a little bit. Just get up.
tripped.
Yeah. Who do you guys want to tell me about this this next scene we got here?
With the cops
Yeah.
coming in. So that they go to show them where the corpse of how do you say her
Mrs.
name?
Brummel.
Brummel.
Yeah.
They go to like, here, this is where it was, and then they changed it into. Did they changed it into
that's
something?
when he
right?
brings
Yeah.
his parents, right?
Yeah,
Casey
yeah.
brings his
Well,
parents in.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, don't know who plays his mom, but the dad, very notable actor,
Mhm.
or at least if you've seen Happy Gilmore, Shooter McGavin.
Superhero movie.
Christopher McDonald
movie.
himself.
I'm
Yeah.
not wearing any diamonds.
Not wearing any diamonds.
Yeah, we get Shooter with the rocking a goatee
Yeah.
Yeah.
as Casey's father here.
Yep. And there's nothing in there of Brummel. They have clearly cleaned up their scene there. And so now it's the perfect horror. Oh, you're the delusional one. Whatever
Mhm.
you just experienced didn't happen. Get on with your life, kid.
Gaslighting at the
Yeah.
finest there.
Yeah, he's probably questioning what just happened to him too. He's like,
Well, they start gaslighting him pretty hard because they obviously Principal
Yeah.
Drake is like denying this and kind of saying like, oh yeah, it's an easy mix up. We had the CPR dummy, and then Coach Willis is like, we didn't mean to scare you. Sorry, we scared you back there, kind of shit.
Casey knows
And
what he
then-
saw.
Well, and then he starts to question it though because he thinks back because Principal Drake says that Nurse Harper was having an attack, that she was on medication for a condition that she has, and then he remembers really quickly because it cuts back to Delilah noticing that she had medication in her bag. So then he's kind of even like, what the fuck? But then he quickly kind of reassures like, I'm not lying. Like I know what I saw in there.
Mhm.
So
yeah, and she suggests for she's like, he's a straight A student, and now we need to get him a professional. I don't need a shrink. And so it just gets real testy between them. They leave.
Oh, I want to mention when they leave, I believe this is the interaction where we see it. I don't know if you noticed it or not, but what's his name? Patrick? Last
oh my god, I already
P1000.
Robert Patrick. His last name is
Robert
Patrick. I know.
I'm sorry, I apologize. His character, the coach, he gives him a little Shooter McGavin, little
Yeah.
little
She gives him a shooter.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
When he leaves, I don't know if you noticed that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Pretty funny.
I can't wait to see that in the edit. Shooter?
Gives him the shooter.
Gives him a
Yeah,
As they
shooter
leave.
the shooter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shooter the shooter.
I love it. So would that have counted in the trivia? Happy Gilmore reference?
No, because it had to be a horror science fiction.
That's true. That's true.
I
Had to
mean,
be
the guy
horror.
hits it 500 yards. That's, that's science fiction
pretty
enough for
scary.
me.
That's as science fiction as it gets. Yeah.
All right. Before we get into our Happy Gilmore 2 preview. So now his parents, I mean, nobody's with him besides the one who saw it with him, Delilah.
Mhm.
But the people that you go to for help don't believe you. So where do you go from here? Well, you get grounded by your parents because they don't believe you. And he's in his bedroom. So he tells his dad and his mom, he said, I'm not going back there. They're waiting for me. And they're like, just cut this out. Like it's done. And they're like, all your privileges, they're gone. Done. And his mom is like, don't forget about his porno.
But I'm pretty sure one of the magazines just said boob on it, or the boob, or something like that. Like, what?
All right. And then, I mean, one of the craziest lines in the whole
Oh
movie.
God.
I mean, you just get your mattress magazines taken from you. And his dad says, "Sorry, pal, no more flogging this bishop." Flogging the bishop, which is a crazy thing to say. Which it got a good roar out of our.
Oh, dude, we were
screening.
dying laughing at that. I've
Yes.
never heard that before in my life.
Uh-huh.
That's insane.
The only time you will air it in your life is you watch that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he tells him to clean up his room, and then we get a shot of him trying to sneak out of his house. And I noted that I've always been fascinated with the room above the awning, like
Mhm.
front porch, and like how people like in movies, it's always like the most sneak outable window is onto the front porch roof and then
Mm-hmm.
down. And so I always wanted something like that just to go kick it on and just chill. Just a little side note there.
Well, the 3 faculty members are right there,
Yeah.
right? Just like
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah,
shadow-esque.
and they say, like, "What do you think you're doing?" And he tries to explain. And he already fall down?
He
or-
already fell. Yeah,
Yeah,
he fell
yeah.
So
by
he's
this point.
face to face with him.
Yeah, because they're ominously just standing in front of his
Yeah.
house, and that scares
Yeah.
him enough to knock him off of the roof.
Mhm.
Basically, he loses his balance, it falls off, and then as he scurries to get up, they start walking towards him, almost reaching out to him.
Mhm.
He stands up quickly, and then his dad's right next to him. That's when he's like, "Yeah, what the hell are
And
you
he's
doing?"
like, he's like,
He's like, "They're here,
Yeah.
the faculty." Says the name
Faculty.
says the name of the movie
said it.
in a very forced way, which I think is
Yeah.
hilarious. But then
Yeah,
also
perfect.
he turns around and no one's there. So his dad is clearly upset that not only is trying to sneak out of his room, but he's still going with these insane lies as he would, you know, assume they are. And tells him to get back inside. But before we cut away, camera pans over to an ominous silhouette in the window, closing the curtains behind
Yeah.
it. So someone's in the house.
Yep.
This shouldn't be there. And then we get our next scene here. So Casey's dad he drives him to school and he's dropping him off in front of the school. This is when we were all laughing because this like hilarious Creed song is playing.
Mhm.
And it's so like,
It's just perfect.
it's so like funny because it's like totally unironic, at least I assume.
Yeah.
And it's just like playing in the background of this scene. And it's like such a like emotional, it's supposed to be like kind of emotional because he's like telling him just like after school, you come straight home. Your mom, you know, already arranged an appointment with like a doctor or something. And again, that's still like really frustrating him because he thinks his son is crazy. He's not even looking at him while he's telling him this too. He's like looking straight ahead and he's just like kind of pissed. And Casey's just like, my dad doesn't believe me. Like he really doesn't believe me. And he's terrified to go back into school because he knows what's waiting for him. So he starts walking into school. And as he's looking back, he sees Coach Willis approaching his dad's car and they're talking. And as he's looking back longer and longer, then they both kind of turn their heads to him and look over him. And he realizes like, oh shit, my dad's been had. My dad has been turned. He's one of them. This thing goes a lot deeper now.
You
This-
see the stare, you know they
Mhm.
turned.
This is where I thought McDonald was going to be a more central character. I thought he was the original in this moment, I thought he got the coach first in that scene.
Oh,
I
see. Interesting.
First part of the movie at the field.
Okay.
Because I see McDonald,
Yeah.
and I think
This guy's a
he's
villain.
brought in late to the movie. I figured he was going to have something bigger to do with the rest of the movie, and he really didn't.
This is the last we see of him, actually.
think so,
yeah, this
yeah.
is the last time we see his dad. So he's not in the
So
rest of the movie.
I thought I'd figured the movie out, and I had not.
I guess minor spoilers for that. Yeah, he's not the
Mhm.
the head of all this whole operation.
He's not the queen.
Yeah.
So then we get Delilah and Casey. So Delilah approaches Casey and kind of pulls him aside after that incident that took place yesterday, and pulls him into a nearby bathroom. They're hiding out in a stall, kind of theorizing on what is going on here, because they both know what they saw, and no one believes them, and they're like freaked out clearly. But Delilah is also kind of like dismissive of certain things that Casey brings up as far as like what this could be, which I find odd because it's like, well, obviously something's going on. You guys just saw it. You're clearly in agreement with him that something's going on, but you don't agree with his exact proposals as to what's going on. Seems kind of like, well, you might as well. What do you got then? You're not proposing anything. And she's kind of like, well, I can't hide forever. So she's like, I'm gonna go find Stan. He's like, well, why are you gonna go find Stan? You know, whatever. Especially because normally she would not want to talk to Stan. So I think that's kind of funny that in this case she's like, I'll go find him now to go bother him with this.
I figured that was just kind of a way to like kind of throw you off, because we see like once these people turn, their appearance changes.
Mhm.
And hers did, obviously, right there. But then she changed back to her normal appearance. And that's where I think like it was supposed to kind of throw you off a little bit, like, oh, okay, she hasn't turned yet.
Right.
So,
No, I mean,
little
it's
visual
definitely
indicator
intentional,
there.
but it's also kind of weird when you look at it through the lens
Oh,
of
no,
like,
it definitely is.
what is her logic?
I just figured that was the meaning behind
Yeah.
that.
We got a quick little montage of the
Oh,
faculty
dude.
now. They're assembled in the faculty lounge with their like.
This is my least favorite scene.
This is horrible, and I'm only gonna mention it. I guess they won't even know because we're not gonna put the audio in, but it's disgusting.
Oh no.
It's them like drinking a bunch of water in the faculty lounge and like powering up basically. And they've like ordered a bunch of water. There's like all kinds of shipments of water jugs coming in and stuff, so they're like stocked up on
They're
it.
so proud of it too.
But it's overlaid with audio of just
Them
chugging
slurping.
water, slurping on
Oh,
it's
dude.
gross,
So
dude.
nasty.
So
like-
unnecessary.
Keep that little time lapse of them, sure, that's fine, no problem with that. You just get rid of the audio.
Why is it? Yeah, it's the audio that really rubs me the wrong way. It's
Play Creed
really
again,
gross.
huh?
Yeah, play some Creed. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind
Um,
of like the uncomfortability of it.
Oh, I hated that.
Yeah, I guess it's like intentionally trying to make you like to gross you out, but it's
Yeah.
also like in a way that's like, ugh, you didn't need that. I get the scene already. It didn't need the audio of them gulping. So then we get a little scene here where Mary Beth she's talking to Stokely, and she's trying to encourage her to talk to Stan. She clearly knows that she's into him. So, and she's like, no way, you know, and Mary Beth takes it upon herself to bump Stokely into Stan. Again, they like keep bumping into each other, these little potential meet cutes, if you will, except this one is finally the one that kind of lands because she falls in his lap and she apologizes and stuff. And then she's kind of awkwardly like, oh, you looking forward to the game tomorrow night? And he reveals to her that he's quit the football team, and she's shocked by this. And she's like, you know, asking why. And he starts to go into detail about, you know, all these times that he's been given passes academically because he's on the football team, because he's good at football. But he's frustrated by this because he wants to be recognized for his own efforts as a student. Even if it's not the best grade in the world, he explicitly says a story of Mr. Furlong changing a grade from a D to an A on a biology exam because he has a really strong arm. And he said that really bugged him. He said, that really bugged me, you know? I worked hard for that D. That was my D. I deserve that D. Kind of sus. Pause. And Mr. Tate then comes in and he starts leading the charge for his class. He's no longer drinking his coffee with the alcohol in
He's
it,
locked
notably.
in.
He's drinking water because that's what they need. He's been turned, obviously. And he starts to tell the class to start writing down the names of all their relatives and close friends and like their addresses and stuff. And then they're like, what the fuck? And Stan's like, is this going to be on the test? And he's like, this is the test. And so then we cut to Zeke. He's stuffing his pockets again with some scat pens from his locker to distribute to the students, make his guap. And he and Mary Beth over, she sees this going down and she asks him what those are. And he tells her it's magic dust. And then he asks if she wants some. She says, I'm allergic to aspirin, so that would probably kill me. And then they kind of have their official introductions with each other. They properly introduce themselves and they have like a cute little moment together. And Zeke walks off and she kind of looks after him. Tanner, where do we go from here?
Well, then we get Stan and Stokely suspiciously looking at a line of students that leads to the nurse's office. There's a school-wide ear exam. And if you're thinking, oh, gee, that's odd. That's because it fucking is. And they notice that too. They're like, why the fuck is this happening?
Pretty standard process.
Sure. And we see Selma Hayek's character, I believe, just she's performing the ear exams. And then we see the Principal Drake, like, again, ominously, like, close the door as she, like, gets to, like, get a look at Stokely. They lock eyes. And I mean, obviously the audience knows what's going on, but Stokely's like, yo, something's up here. And Stan is suspicious of this, and then he sees Mrs. Olsen, and I think he makes a remark of like, and that takes the police. So Delilah goes and grabs Stan and says she needs to talk to him. Casey then approaches Stokely and asks for help. And then Mary Beth and Zeke are talking about her past, I believe.
Yeah, kind of giving the lowdown on like why she moved here and just kind of a little bit about herself.
Yeah, she's the new girl, new Southern girl in town.
So now they're becoming more acquainted with each other again, kind of sharing these nice little moments together.
And so we see the couple that Zeke had seen earlier arguing, and they're now on the table while the girlfriend is repeatedly pushing I don't know his name, we don't get the name, but like her boyfriend in the scene, again, the guy from Scary Movie, and she's pushing him.
Good job.
She's giving some shove, dude. And calls him a pussy. And I think we noted in there that we saw visually of him breaking character and him start to laugh when that happened. That was pretty awesome. That's funny. So he was supposed to have like no reaction to it. He's like emotionless and stuff, and a little foreshadowing there. And then these back and forth shots of Zeke and the couple continue. And I think she gives him a slap too.
Oh yeah, she slaps him,
she slaps him and then calls him a pussy or something. Or does that be either way?
I don't know. Yeah, she might be calling him a pussy a lot. So.
It all happens pretty quick. And that's when it kind of took me out again. Not that I hadn't with certain other scenes, but this like so funny. Like it's just, I don't know. To me, I had a lot of fun with this movie, and this was one of the scenes that like was just the cherry on top to a lot of it, because it was like, again, these background actors and stuff, they're not really in the movie, and I just love that little detail within it.
We got that shot of him, it like cuts back to the boyfriend and he's just sitting there by himself now and like looking over at Zeke with like his like legs kind of tucked, and he's like he just looks so funny. And we like literally hit rewind on this scene just to watch it back because we were laughing so hard. There's like such a funny shot. It's so dumb.
It called for a rewind there.
That
was fantastic.
And then we get Zeke, I think the guys from earlier approach him, like the druggies approach him. They want more drugs, and they make it weird, and because they want a lot, right? They're asking for a lot from him, and Zeke lies to him that they're hiding the rest of the pen, or that he's hiding the rest of the pens in his pocket, right?
He has some on him, and he sells it to him, and then they're like, do you have any more? And then he's like, I probably have some in my, in my trunk or in my locker or whatever. And then like, we'll take all you got. And that's when he tucks away that he has on him, the few that he has even on his person, kind of tucks them away because he's like, okay, this is kind of weird. Yeah. And he kind of puts it off by like, he like kind of smiles at them. He's like, use in moderation, boys. Kind of like trying to deter them because he's like, this is strange. They're acting very strange,
That's when we get Miss Burke approaching him again, right? And she's visually different
Mhm.
looking. She's got what she's wearing, and I think her hair is a bit different this time.
Slightly, yeah.
Slightly.
Yeah.
Again,
Still got the
chopped a bit, but
yeah.
and she's visually looking different too. So you know something's up because then she's also a little more stern. She's kind of got
A
a
little
backbone
bit. I don't know. She
now.
got some bite to her
Right?
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Now
she's
she's
getting in the
completely
business.
completely different. And Zeke obviously takes notice of that too. And he tries to walk away. And that's when she gives him a bit of a push. Like, whoa, Miss Burke. Relax. All right. And Zeke says he has zero fucking tolerance. And then she replies, "Eat me, you asshole." This dialogue, man, is great throughout the movie. And he laughs, and then he I think he asks her, like, what are you gonna do? You gonna call my mother? And again, they're just having this like back and forth with one another. And then Zeke is deflecting, he's gesturing with his hands and like kind of like, I want the smoke.
He literally
like, let me
goes
have
and he
it.
looks at her and goes,
That's right.
kind of like, yeah, come on,
Yeah.
give me what you got. So
And
he
then-
doesn't really care.
Yeah, she continues. And then I think she was like, I've taken your shit for too fucking long, you dickless drug induced excuse for a human being. Like, she's really going in.
Yeah,
and
she's
honest-
ripping him.
The audience knows, all right, she's got. And again, they're just going back and forth with one another. And I think she shoves him and storms off,
Mhm.
right? And then remarks to him and says, or just wait. Oh no, Zeke. Sorry, he remarks to himself and says she got some bad shit,
Yeah.
right?
So he's assuming she's like, gotta be
Like
on
drugs,
something. Yeah,
right?
like she got some bad shit. So maybe she has a past with like, maybe that's how they were acquainted in the first place. He like sold her some drugs or something. Maybe she was an addict. Who knows? But he's assuming like clearly as a personality change, she's got to be on something. But again, this is kind of this bigger idea that everyone's kind of acting a little weird. So he does take note of that, but I think he's still trying to play it off, even to himself, kind of like, all right, well, whatever. She's fucking tripping, so I'm not gonna worry about it too much. And from there we get Casey. So he talks to Stokely, who he had pulled away privately a while ago, and they're talking in the library now. He's basically going all in on this conspiracy that something is taking over the school, and he thinks it's spreading. So he's trying to give her the lowdown on everything, and she ain't buying it. She's not convinced. She's like, she's referring to obviously like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the Puppet Masters, stuff like that, science fiction. And they specifically talk about the fact that it's fiction. These are just stories. Well, Casey kind of doubles down on this theory that, well, maybe these stories are created to
I was gonna say, well, if you weren't already aware enough of what they were doing, they had to really spell it out for you.
Oh yeah, especially
Right?
with Invasion of the Body Snatchers being
I know,
probably the
like,
biggest influence for this
we
movie.
we gotta acknowledge this.
Yeah,
You already know what you're thinking.
yeah,
right?
we're ripping off.
I actually
Body
thought it
Snatch.
was a really clever scene.
No, it's
Well,
funny.
it's-
It's funny.
And this is how you know Kevin Williamson wrote this, because if you've ever seen Scream, Scream's whole thing is that it's extremely meta on the horror genre, the slasher genre in particular. And it plays off all the tropes. It refers to old
So it's
movies.
got to acknowledge
the
it first
logic.
before you can
Exactly.
critique it.
So you can't
because of
critique
that.
it, but also it's like, well, yeah, these kids exist in a world, presumably like in ours, where these movies exist, these books or TV shows also exist. And they refer to this material as sometimes as a guide, but also sometimes as just kind of conversation where it's like, oh, so it's like that one thing. Kind of like almost like
Yeah.
putting it off, like, I think you've watched too many movies, kind of thing. And that's basically how Stokely's treating this, because while she's a science fiction fanatic, she's also like, okay, but be realistic, Casey. Like, come on, be for real. But he's like convinced, and he's like saying that maybe all of this science fiction or horror media exists by these creators because it's all connected. It goes all the way up that basically aliens have infiltrated us a long time ago. And that's their way of kind of desensitizing us to that kind of story, that when and if it actually took place, that they wouldn't be prepared for it. Because they're thinking like, yeah, if an alien invasion actually started taking place, they're not going to think it's actually taking place because they've seen it in too many movies. It's like, yeah, well, that's obviously ridiculous. But that's kind of the point that he's making, that no, I think that's the point. So there's even a larger conspiracy at hand that at least Casey is, he believes very strongly in. Well, then Stokely kind of starts to hear him out, and they continue to theorize on, like, she's like, okay, well, in Body Snatchers, like, they had pods. Where are the pods? And he's like, well, there's no pods. And then she mentions the puppet masters, that they were parasites. That's when Casey kind of puts it together that, okay, that is probably what that organism I found earlier was. That is one of these parasites that, again, can replicate as well, so long as they have something like water to kind of keep them alive.
Shout out Casey for, really taking the initiative here and trying to do something about this.
He's putting all the pieces together. Yeah, he's definitely doing the legwork to try to figure this out for everyone. So it's kind of nice
because be like,
no one is
this,
hearing him
I'm
out.
skipping town. He knows that's not going to solve shit.
And he even says that in a later scene too. Yeah, so I think that's kind of funny.
That. Yeah.
Again, they're making Casey a competent character. A lot of horror movies would omit that character or make everyone kind of make all the wrong decisions. He is continuously making all the right decisions. And like, it's like, yeah, good, Casey. Thank you for us, for our sake. And then from there, we get the whole gang together, or at least most of the gang. We get Stokely, Stan, Casey, and Delilah all meeting up now, because Delilah went to talk to Stan about the situation. Obviously, we just saw Casey and Stokely talk. So Delilah tells them that she filled Stan in. They go to Mr. Furlong's classroom, and they're in there alone, and they're gonna basically try to explain all of this to Stan. Like, they're all on board, like, hey, okay, let's explain this to Stan so he's on board, which I find odd, because Delilah just said that she filled him in. What the fuck did she tell him then? Because she clearly didn't tell him there's an alien invasion, because then when Casey brings that up, he's like laughing at it and like, give me a fucking break, So it's like, wait, so what did you tell him then? Either way, yeah, they're all talking amongst themselves, and then Zeke and Mary Beth are alone, and they go into a separate classroom, and they're kind of, well, first of all, Zeke is there to steal lab equipment for his drug operation. That's where he gets all of his stuff from. And it's pretty funny too, because she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, shopping, a very large grocery list. Mary Beth is like, what are you talking about? And he's like, this is where I get my equipment. And she's like, you borrow it from science labs? And he says, I like to think of it as stealing, actually. just doing my part to the deconstruction of America. Like, Jesus Christ, what are you talking about? And even Mary Beth, it cuts to her, and she's like, she doesn't say anything, but her face is like, huh? But then he like kind of slowly approaches her, and he's like, if anyone catches us in here, just lie and say we were making out. The punishment will be less severe. And then they share a kiss. But then it's interrupted with them overhearing through the vent. Next classroom over is the rest of the gang discussing the alien invasion. So they start to kind of laugh at this, and Zeke kind of hatches a plan to mess with them. And he enters the room and interrupts their conversation. Like, he's like limping, and he's just like screaming like a fucking idiot to, like, I guess because he's infected or whatever. So he kind of makes a comment to Casey, like, the only one that's an alien here is you. And Casey's like, fuck you, Zeke. And Zeke just gives him like this like shit-eating kind of like reaction to that, just kind of like mocking him, But yeah, so they're all kind of going back and forth, and then Mr. Furlong enters the classroom and interrupts their whole conversation. And he's asking them, like, aren't you people supposed to be in class? And Zeke starts giving the lowdown and everything. And he's like, well, it's like this, Mr. Furlong. Casey here thinks you're an alien. And Mr. Furlong kind of gives a revealing, really very ominously, kind of like, oh shit. Okay, so Mr. Furlong's turn too. And he goes, is that true, Casey? And after he shuts the blinds on the door right there, they're asking about, like, where's that little parasite that we found? Where is it? And he's like, I sent it up to the university. And Stokely's like, did they say what it was? And he just gives him a shrug, like, and then they're all kind of like weirded out. So Zeke's like, okay, I'm gonna leave. He's like, whatever, fuck this. Like, I'm out. So he starts to walk away, and that's when Mr. Furlong grabs him by the arm. And he says, if you'll kindly take your seats, this will be over quite quickly. And now sit down. And he throws him on the ground. And now they're all freaked out because they're like, oh, fuck. Even Stan is now kind of like, I think maybe they weren't bullshitting me earlier, you know? And so Casey tries to run away and he runs like right at him, which I think is
right
hilarious.
at him.
Doesn't even try to avert him. Also, there's another door at the end of the classroom that he entered in. So like, why didn't you go to that door? Whatever. He grabs him by the throat and like picks him up. And then Delilah tries to run past and he just flings her to the ground. Throws Casey back, but Stan catches him in time before he hits the ground. And that's when Zeke goes over to there's a paper cutter and he breaks off the blade to it to use as a weapon towards him. And Mr. Furlong, he goes to attack Zeke and he cuts off his fingers, revealing some more tendrils coming out of his severed fingers there. And they kind of have like a little showdown for a bit, and then
they're working as a team.
Yeah, they're all
team up.
Yeah, and so Zeke stabs Mr. Furlong in the eye with a pen, calling back to the line earlier that was again set up very overtly.
Very
like it was like,
obvious,
what a weird
foreshadowing.
thing to say. Oh, I bet he's gonna get a pen in the eye. Yeah, he gets a pen in the eye.
Happens to be Zeke's pen.
Yeah, of all pens too, the one that would probably have that the most effect to it. And he throws Zeke into that big empty water tank, and it crashes everywhere. And and as he approaches him, well, now that those drugs start to take effect into his body, and he starts to foam out of the eye, and he falls to the ground. And as they approach him, this one I thought was kind of weird because when he dropped the blade, Zeke, Stan tosses it back to him, and the music even starts to swell as though he's gonna, maybe hack his head off or something. Oh no, they look over and he's just on the ground. He's been defeated, so he's been properly taken out. I don't know why they did that. Kind of weird setup, but they're all kind of looking at his body, and the bell rings. Class is let out, and Stokely goes, "This is usually the point where somebody says, 'Let's get the fuck out of here.'" And Stan right on cue says, "Let's get the fuck out of here." So they all head for the door, and Stan's like, "All right, we're heading straight for the." Oh, actually, first he says aliens are taking over the fucking school, so he's fully a believer now, which I think is funny because he had to see it to believe it. But oh yeah, he's in it now, and he tells him like, "We're heading straight for the parking lot." Where do we go from here, Seth?
Yeah, they head to Zeke's place. Usher tries to stop him or like tell him to hang back for a second, and they still continue on their way, and they get to his house and they park in the detached garage. And I know you guys noted that you got to park that thing.
Oh, I thought
you got to get that thing.
You gotta
What
go.
are you doing,
You gotta
man?
go
Why are you
deeper.
parking
You
it
got
out?
to get in there more.
Fucking right in front.
Yeah. Yeah. So he takes him to his little laboratory, his lab, and
This guy's Walter White.
yeah, right.
Apparently.
Yeah, he's got a
Little
ton
hunting
of
and
lab
Walter
equipment.
White.
Yeah,
Yeah. And it shows a little, they're sitting there kind of giving a pan shot of all of his stuff, and they're all getting established in this room, and then it has a close up of a gun, and Casey's like kind of like, "Oh gosh, who is this guy?" He's like, "Hey, it's a gun, man. It's called a gun, man." So they have the little specimen, and he's got his microscope out, and they're examining it, and this is where we get our exposition of what this is, and how can we understand it more. What is this? And they identify it as a parasite and how it attaches itself, and it uses these bodies as a host, and kind of that's the point. And they can replicate, but they need the host. Like that's obviously when they go into the ear, that's them replicating, but they need the host.
right.
Yeah, because they get that parasite from Furlong, right?
Right,
It
yeah.
comes out of his
Casey had
mouth.
grabbed it before they left the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he had mentioned, I think it was specifically when Stan said, "There's a fucking alien invasion taking over the school." He says, "Gotta have proof." So
And-
he takes it in a little jar.
And then they kind of make some deductions that with all the water and stuff, and they realize that drug dries them out, and so they're finally piecing together how they can stop this. And from there they all just become paranoid amongst each other.
Yeah.
Because he pours his drug on.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
so he
And
shows
it
it
just,
kind
like,
of dissolves
dissolves,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Casey asks Stokely, because they they're like trying to figure out how to stop this, and Casey asks Stokely, like, this is your area of basically expertise. So she's like, well, how it would really go down is there's got to be a queen to this alien. So
I don't think she refers to it as a queen. I believe Mary Beth is the one to say.
But she's
Well, she
identifies
mentions
that they
specifically.
have
She says in theory they're all connected. If we killed the master, we get them all.
Yeah, they're hive mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she doesn't say queen specifically,
Right.
but yeah, she does.
Well, I want to say because Mary Beth is specifically
Right, yeah.
the one to mention a queen.
Yeah.
Stan's like, so what happens to everybody else? Do they just die? And they're like, I don't think so. They should become human again. And this scene just keeps going to, okay, well then now we got the drugs here. We got to test it.
Yeah.
We got to, because you could be, what if you are?
Well, yeah, they start getting paranoid. Like,
yeah.
what if you're one? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're kind of pointing out each other's kind of weird behavior as of late, with Stan quitting the football team. Zeke seems to know an awful lot about this. Mary Beth is the new girl.
Yeah.
Delilah's changed too with her appearance, wearing the glasses and the ponytail and stuff. So all of them kind of have like, there's a reasonable doubt that any one of them could be.
This is the thing reference.
This is the thing. This is like the blood test scene in the thing. Yeah. So this is them now going around and because Zeke proposes that they all take a hit of scat. Then he tells Stan to do it first, and Stan's like, "No way, man! I don't do drugs." Which is like, all right, dude, what the fuck? That sure, recreationally, I think this is a little bit of a different situation. And Zeke even says, like, you got nothing to worry about if you're not an alien. Casey agrees that maybe this is what they should do to kind of maybe try to flush out whoever is the alien here, if any of them are. And then Zeke just turns to Casey and he tells him to go first. And he's like, why me first? And he says, it's your birthright, man. Just fucking take it. And then Casey does not argue that point at all. And this is where we all got a good laugh out of this, because we believe pretty strongly Casey was kind of fiending to take a hit of scat the whole time.
Waiting for it. He's waiting the whole movie.
He's like, well, if I have to go first, all right.
Oh, jeez, that has to be me. And
he snorts the scat. And so Stan suggests Zeke go next, but he claims, I don't get high on my own stash, man. And Casey starts to giggle, and Stan grabs the revolver and points it at Casey. Said, what the hell's wrong with him? And Zeke shouts, he's tweaking. Let him fucking tweak. He's over here pointing the gun at him like he must be turning. No, he's literally just getting high.
Yeah, he's just fucking laughing hysterically.
He's like giggling just like tweaking so hard. It's hilarious. And then so Stan aims the gun at Zeke and says, now you. Zeke gives in and he takes a hit. He tells Stan that it's his turn. So I thought this was kind of funny. Stan willingly gives Zeke the gun, I guess, to show further like that you can trust him, but he gives Zeke the gun to point at him while he takes a hit to prove that he's not it. So he takes the hit. Hilarious. Then Zeke turns to Stokely, and Stokely says, I'm not putting that hack drug up my nose. And then he firmly replies, aliens are taking over the earth, weigh it. So she kind of convinced her, and she takes a hit. And Stan is now properly tweaking by this point. He's giggling just like Casey. It's pretty funny because they're just like laughing their ass off. He's climbing over the couch. And then Zeke gestures to Delilah, and she says, no, her first, referencing Mary Beth. And Mary Beth pleads that she's allergic. And Delilah sharply replies, yeah, and I'm Portuguese. Who cares? Just such a weird line. But again, she's just being an asshole. And then Zeke just starts dying laughing at that line. He like busts out laughing, and then Stan starts laughing. Casey's laughing. And then Zeke asks Stan if she's always this much fun. And Stan's like, no. She's like, she could be a real bitch. And then Stan and Casey high five at this.
Oh,
they literally like high five. It's hilarious.
The table and high five.
So Mary Beth is still refusing, but Zeke insists that she has to take it. And finally, the girls are going to take it at the same time. And as soon as they take it, Delilah kind of launches backwards into the shelves there in the garage. And everyone stops laughing like immediately because they're like, oh shit, what's going on? Delilah turns around. Her face under her skin has all these creepy crawlies about. Oh yeah, she's got it bad. So she is in fact infected. Where do we go from here, Tanner?
So we get obviously seeing Delilah is one of them, and Casey has the gun and is aim. He's aiming at Delilah. Now they're all kind of freaked out by this, and he just straight up says, "Shoot her in the head, Casey." And Stan is scared. Says, "No, don't shoot her, Casey." So they're all deciding what to do. We got Casey, the one that's tweaking, just behind the gun. And Delilah starts to taunt him and says there's nowhere to go, nowhere to hide, and we're everywhere. Stokely grabs the gun. She yells, "I'll fucking shoot her." So she goes ahead and aims at Delilah. Delilah just goes berserk, starts destroying like the lab equipment and stuff. Stokely fires off a round but misses. Delilah goes beast mode, bursts through the garage door, runs off towards a mysterious car out in front to make her escape. And the person driving is can't remember his name. The one that was drinking alcohol.
Oh, Mr. Tate.
Mr. Tate, yeah. He's the one driving. Like it's like the I don't even know, driver's ed car.
Yeah, it was
or
like
something.
yeah, exactly. Like student driver on top of it, yeah.
And so they go ahead and chase after. They're still like freaked out that it was Delilah. Stokely pops off a few more rounds, and again missing everything. I think I noticed this when she was running towards the car. I personally would have loved to see Delilah jump and slide across the hood.
Yeah.
I thought that'd be very fitting for this type of movie. Like
Yeah.
it would have been very silly, but I thought that would have been just on par with this whole movie and the vibe. I would have loved to see that. Well, anyway, she escapes. Zeke states that she destroyed most of their supply. Casey then reassures them and saying, "We'll kill the queen. You know, they'll you can get them all back." Referring to everybody that's turned. And Zeke screams, "Fuck!" Mary Beth finally shows up outside, giggling, presumably still high from the drugs. And it cuts back to the gang, and they're all hopping in Zeke's GTO, pulling up to the football stadium. Zeke asks, "How much do we have left?" Casey replies, "Not much." So they gotta be a little strategic here. They gotta find the queen. They don't have much to deal with because with everybody that's turned, they don't have enough to go around to kill everybody. And then so Zeke is trying to, just stay focused. Says that we only need enough to get the queen. Get her, get them all, right? Hopefully. And they think about where they would find her. Stan replies, "Friday night. Only one place she can be." We're in the big game because that's all they do in that damn Texas town, right? Foosball.
Ohio town.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Do I get a point for that?
Yeah, I'm taking away a point. Seth, you get that point now.
Yeah, so then it's just like this big grand like football game. You got fireworks going off.
All right, so we're at the big game. Kind of get a montage here of the football team just destroying the rival team here on Friday night. Clearly enhanced by their parasitic, I guess, new bodies in this way, but they're just destroying them. And while they're kind of tackling them, they'll dogpile them and infect each player, one by one, and kind of spreading this presumably for that team to then take it back to their hometown and spread it further. So we're kind of getting all this, and Coach Willis is watching on so gleefully. He's watching this and he's just pumped. He's having a ton of fun with it, smiling more than he's ever smiled, presumably in his whole life. There's this really cool shot that is, it's like Coach Willis just slowly, it's like a slow-mo shot of him turning towards the camera with the fireworks kind of going off in the background. But then even the crowd, like you had mentioned earlier, they have signs say kill, 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 and they're chanting kill, kill, kill. So everyone is extremely bloodthirsty at this point. And the gangs, they start to speculate on who the actual queen would be. They assume it has to be Principal Drake, the authority figure, I guess. So it has to be her, right? And they try to figure out a way to get to her so that they can take her out and hopefully get everyone back. As they make their way to the gym, they're spotted by Principal Drake and Mrs. Olsen, and Principal Drake soon follows after them. So from here, the gang enters the gym and they're confronted by Principal Drake, who asks, "What are you kids doing in here?" They're obviously frightened by this, thinking that they're coming face to face with the queen of this whole operation. And Stan just lays her the fuck out. It's hilarious. He just like tackles her, and then him and Zeke start wrapping her up in the volleyball net. So funny because he didn't even skip a beat. He like kind of walked around so she couldn't see him out of her peripheral and just lays her out. And then so Principal Drake gets, she's like on her knees wrapped up in this net. And she's telling him like that they're gonna be in a ton of trouble for this. Like, what is going on? She's trying to figure out what is happening. And Casey responds with, "Stop the act. No one's buying it." They have a little supply in like a canister of scat, of the powder, and they can like disperse it into those little pen cartridges basically. So they pour one up, they pour up a pen's worth of scat, if you will. And she continues to tell them on how much trouble they're gonna be in. Like, she's trying to really like get through to them. They're like, whatever they're doing, they're completely off, And so Stan pulls the gun and points at her head, scaring her, and she's like, "What are you doing?" And Casey approaches her armed with the scat pen and hilariously tells Drake, he leans in, the music kind of swells up and then comes to a head, and then he goes, "Sniff this." And she refuses, and he's like, "Sniff this or he shoots you." She doubles down and she says, "I will not." And then they're kind of looking at each other like, "Well, now what?" Because like they don't want to shoot her. They're obviously scared that she won't sniff the pen. And then Casey's kind of like, "Well, when Mr. Furlong got it in the eye earlier, that seemed to work pretty good." So he approaches her, ready to strike her down. But he kind of gets cold feet at the thought of it, because she's like questioning him, like, "Casey, are you on drugs?" She's trying to figure out what's going on. And he hesitates. And then finally Zeke just walks up and just grabs the gun from Stan and shoots her square in the forehead. Doesn't even hesitate. So she's laying there and they're kind of looking over her body and they're going like, "Ooh, do we mess up here? Was she not one of them?" Because then we see blood start to pool out of her head. And Casey turns to them like, "Guys, I think we were wrong." And then sure enough, she jump scares them and stands back up. Creepy crawlies all over her face. And Mary Beth grabs that canister of scat and dusts her completely, like throws the whole thing almost on her. And she obviously falls down in pain. She's dissolving. And then she stupidly dumps the rest of it all over Principal Drake, wasting the rest of their reserve supply. And Zeke even asks, like, Mary Beth, "Is that it?" Referring to the now empty reserve supply of drugs. And Stan goes, "Let's see if it worked." Because they're thinking if maybe they got the queen, everyone else should be back to normal then, right? So they go to the lobby of the gym and they're kind of looking out. They can't see anything. A storm's come in. It's raining really hard outside now. And Stan says, "You guys stay here. I'll go check it out." So he asks for a pen of scat from Zeke, and Zeke tells him to use it wisely. Casey asks Stan, "What if it wasn't Drake?" And Stan replies, "Then we're fucked." So as he's about to exit the door, Stokely pulls him in and they share a kiss for a brief moment. And honestly, Stan's ready to go to fucking war after that. He's like pretty pumped. He's like, "Okay, I got this." He's feeling good. And then we cut to Casey and he's just kind of giving her like this, like kind of, he's got the shit-eating grin on his face and kind of laughing. And she's like, "What?" They're all kind of laughing. And so Stan goes out there only to run into the football team, basically just enjoying the time in the rain. They're powering up.
Much like the sprinkler scene.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, they're fully drenched now. And
these guys are full pads.
Yeah. So we could probably assume what happens to Stan. And as the group asks if there's any sign of him, Stan jump scares them. And he's like, "Stokely, open the door." Casey shouts, "No, Stokely, we don't know if it's actually him." And Stan pleads with them that, it's him. Let him in. He's freaking out. And Zeke asks him where the pen is, and he says, "I lost it. The coach was too fast for me." So Zeke has the last pen. Casey takes it from him and he passes it under the door for Stan to take the test, basically. And Stan takes it, puts it up to his nose, slowly lifts his head and dumps it out right in front of him. So obviously everyone's pretty pissed off about that. And also now they're out of scat, so that sucks even more too. He starts taunting them basically, and they're all furious. He starts specifically singling out Stokely because he's telling her, like, if you come with us, you know, like, there's no more pain, there's no more fear, you'll be beautiful, you know? And she's just crying. She's heartbroken at this.
I just kind of took that as Mary Beth. I know we haven't gone to that yet, but like her being an outcast and Stokely being an outcast, I felt like she actually kind of tried to make that connection with her of like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, she's like this lone refugee of her alien race type of thing, and she's this outcast, and you know,
yeah, there's definitely a level of like actual
that was
intrigue.
maybe like the push to get her specifically out of them.
She definitely takes an interest in the group in particular. I think that's why they're not like maybe attacked in the way that other people are. They're more kind of like he's trying to convince them, you know, that it is better this way anyways. Obviously, they don't agree with those methods. So where do we go from here after that scene? We get our next scene here. We get a little plan hatching.
We get Casey and Zeke. They're like, so what do we do now? Zeke thinks that he has more scat in his trunk, his car. So him and Casey decide to go try and retrieve that. And the football team is in full Imperial march around the school. Casey, they split up, and Casey kind of is now in a pickle in the sea of school buses and trying to evade this. The coach is leading the pack of the football team because they see them, right? Or so the football team, like you said, they're just going.
They're kind of like on patrol. They're just marching about the parking lot, and they're hiding underneath a bus nearby. And then Casey's kind of like,
and he finds himself in a school bus, and just so happens that in this school bus is Delilah.
Yeah,
and he's like, how is she in this one school bus out of all these? That's not really important, but she says she's trying to convince him that like this is the way, kind of like, just like, let me do this to you. And she's like, I haven't been this happy since my dad died. And it's just like, whoa. And the football team is starting to really rally around this bus now. And
is that the reason why Delilah is just talking shit to everybody that she encounters? I'd assume.
Probably. I guess that's supposed to be our small explanation as to why she's such a bitch to people.
Probably. Yeah. And she the team is just shaking the bus and like just getting in. I think one of the football team players like headbutts like the back of the bus.
Yeah, he crashes through that little emergency exit door.
Right before they get to him, he gets through the escape hatch in the top.
I'd say that's the Shining reference there.
I was gonna do a Jack Nicholson there, but I decided I didn't want to. Then we see him, he escapes, and then we cut to Zeke. He gets to the car and he's in his trunk, and then he feels something behind him, and it's Miss Burke, and now she's really pressing him on what's going on, and he makes the joke. He's like, "Oh, did you change your mind about the laxatives?" And then she makes the weird comment that, and I was hoping for something a little more cherry flavored or something. That's in reference to the condom, right? Yeah. It was wild, but and then he says tells her that he's gonna hook her up with something else, and he's still scrambling to get some scat, and he gets into the car, and she like jumps through the side or into the passenger side, right, to like, and she's like trying to turn him right there. She's hanging out the window. She's like, "Hello, Zeke boy." And he's able to. Does he get her out of the car and then he hits her, or does he whip her out?
No, he's like
still in the car.
He's swerving about, so it kind of pulls her from when she's like hanging halfway out of the window. It pulls her into the car fully now, so she's in the back seat.
Okay.
Yeah.
She continues to taunt
he puts
him.
the seatbelt on.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm just gonna go full on head-on collision in one of these buses.
Yeah.
Puts the seatbelt on and then just full, like, probably 50 miles an hour into a school bus. She goes flying out of it, ragdoll style.
Which I do love the dummy.
Flying
being
through
the
the air.
being the thing that's
Yeah.
instead of like a vision, like a CGI effect or something. It's an actual
Just
physical dummy.
ragdoll,
I
just
love that.
just flying, just
Classic. You don't
just
see that anymore.
just crashes, and then we see him react to that, and then it cuts back to her decapitated, and it's this alien now has like 8 legs, like a spider or something, crawling around just the head.
Yeah.
And then
So definitely another The Thing reference
Yeah.
right there. The little severed head with
Mhm.
little creepy crawlies now, you know, crawling about just by
and
itself.
then her body is still like trying to find her head, or her head's trying to find the
Yeah.
body.
Hey, she still lives.
And
you
then-
know?
Love
Somehow.
this out of Zeke. He's just like, I'm like, screw that, I'm out of here, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not. What am I gonna do from here? Like, she's not dead. I have to get out of here. So he bolts away, and that kind of he gets some scat, I believe, right?
He did, yeah.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
he
from
did
his car.
retrieve
He
the
did
scat
get
from his
it,
car.
yeah.
That's where we're at now.
So we cut to Stokely and Mary Beth. They're alone in the gym, and they're kind of having like this heart to heart a little bit. And Mary Beth tells Stokely, "I know you pride yourself on being the outsider, Stokely, but aren't you tired of being something you're not? I know I am." Well, that's pretty suspicious thing to say to someone in the given the circumstances. And Stokely starts to slowly turn her head, and then she just gets walloped by Mary Beth, knocking her to the ground.
Mhm.
And we get our reveal that yes, Mary Beth was in fact the queen the whole time.
Whoa!
Yeah, boom. Crazy, right? Well, she sprouts her tendrils her from her arms, and she's kind of, got these big tentacles, basically. Not even tendrils, like huge tentacles. And that's when Casey comes back in to discover this. Like, God damn it, this guy just can't catch a break.
Mhm.
And so they start to dart off, and she kind of turns into her full form, and she's like a full on like
Pretty
monster,
disgusting.
So she chases after them, and they go into the school's swimming pool again. They're running around the pool, and well, now they're around a big body of water. The thing jumps into the water, and now it's getting even more powered up, just beelining towards them. Reaches out and grabs Stokely around the ankle, knocking her to the ground, face first,
Ooh.
hitting that tile,
Yeah.
dragging her into the water. So Casey runs around the pool, and he grabs one of those those pool skimmers,
Mhm.
and kind of reaches into the water for her to grab onto so he can pull her out just in the nick of time, right before the monster clamps
Mhm.
down with its teeth. Pulls her out of there. They run out. They go into the nearby locker room. And so when Mary Beth kind of continues her rampage, we kind of see her turn back into her human form, right? She's Mary Beth now. She's just fully naked. And she's walking throughout she walks into the locker room. But then that's when, so as they're hiding, Zeke walks in. And
Yeah, say, with how big she turned like into like this kaiju-esque monster,
Mm.
she's able to reform into a human. Because when
Guess
you see
so.
her transform, you see it like kind of rip the human
mm,
Mary Beth out of it, and then now she could just transform back. I don't know.
maybe that's just a power the queen can
Crazy.
do.
I
'Cause I don't
guess
think
so.
any of them have like shape shifting. Maybe they do. I don't know. It's not clear on how far their powers can
She
go.
clearly just shaped.
Yeah, she can, but maybe it's just the queen. I don't know. But they're in the locker room, and Zeke walks in, and he sees Stokely, and she calls out to him. But Mary Beth is right around the corner, and she tells him like not to trust her. She's been turned, and they're kind of going back and forth. And then Zeke's looking at Mary Beth like, "Can I ask you something? Are you naked?" He's looking at her. So the jig is up. All right, it's like, all right, she's clearly the alien here, and she starts to kind of taunt them a little bit. And as he pulls out one of the scat pens to stab her with, Stokely grabs him. So she's also been turned.
Yeah.
But what I don't understand about this, if they were both infected, I mean, obviously Mary Beth is the queen and Stokely's been turned. They're both trying to like, no, don't trust her. I know it's a red herring for like this story. Why wouldn't they just both turn him right there? Because they're clearly on the same page. I thought this was supposed to be like a hive mind situation. Why are they going back and forth for like the theatrics of it all? Because then that gives Casey enough time to then grab Stokely
Mm.
from behind and throw her into the nearby like kind of equipment storage area, like behind
Yeah.
a cage, and lock her in there. So she's been subdued, and Zeke's telling Casey to take some of the scat because he wants to make sure he's not infected
Mhm.
either, because he just got back. from the car. So he's like, take this. And we again joke that Casey's like, all right, if I have to, you know. So he's like, I really gotta get high right now. And he takes it. So he's kind of tweaking.
If it'll help reassure you,
Yeah.
I'm not it. You know.
I'm only doing this for you, Zeke. So he gets high again, and as he's kind of tweaking out again, well, they get separated. And then Zeke just gets flung across the room, like literally overhead Casey, and Casey goes to tend to him. And but Zeke is out. And as Mary Beth is approaching Casey, he backs away slowly on the ground against the that metal grate that Stokely's locked behind, and she grabs him by his hair through the gate, holding him there and kind of calling out to Mary Beth that he's over here. And he rips his hair out to get away from her and just dips out. Kind of crazy.
I know.
Got her like a motherfucker. It was like a handful of hair.
Gotta
Tanner-
do what you gotta do.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I guess if your life's on the line, if the human race is on the line,
Yeah.
Tanner, where do we go from here?
Yeah, I think this is where like Mary Beth is just, you know, walking around the locker room because she doesn't know exactly where Casey is at this point. She's walking around naked, trying to just doing her monologue, and she's trying to pinpoint where Casey is, trying to get some reactions, see where, you know, she can go and grab him. And I think he said he'd rather be afraid than to join her hive mind. And she goes from destroying the rows of lockers as Casey like starts to like dash out of there.
Yeah.
It's like that cool little action where she's just like
Yeah.
moving all the lockers.
Yeah.
And as he's like just barely escaping each like row of them, you know.
Yeah, she's full kaiju mode again.
Yes. And I think this is where we get taken back to where he decides to like he sees the bleachers.
Right.
Yeah.
So he exits the locker room. Yeah, goes over into the corner of the bleachers. This is the idea he's hatched up, and he hits that and he runs underneath the bleachers in between all the, you know, the metal and stuff like that as they're closing to basically lure the monster in. So it's chasing after him, and he's jumping through each one, you know, and he gets to the very end and kind of leaps through.
I love that last
That
leap
last
out
one,
of
he
there.
like full head dives into
he
the
like looks
wall.
back at the alien and like kind of is like waiting for it to get to a certain point before he decides to leap that last part.
Yeah,
It's a cool leap.
times
but
it just right. Yeah.
He almost hits like his head on the wall there.
No, I'm telling you, yeah, he made a really
Yeah,
far
But,
leap.
like,
Kind of
dive
overshot it.
through, like a little.
Yeah.
Might as well have been a flaming ring.
So he gets through, and sure enough, his plan worked. Just like he
Mhm.
drew it up, and the monster is pinned in the bleachers. And we finally get our heroic one-liner from him. And he goes, guaranteed to jack you up. As he has the scat pens, he has like 3 of them, and jabs it in the eye of the monster. Call back to one of our first scenes at the beginning when he
Mhm.
overheard Zeke say that very same thing to the kids that he was selling drugs to in the bathroom. Kind of stole that line from Zeke. He was like, "Hey, that was kind of cool. I'll use that for if I have the opportunity later to use that. I'm definitely pulling that one out." And sure enough, he got
delivered
that
it
moment.
perfectly though.
Yeah, and in this moment though, when he stabs the beast, it shoots out like little parasites at his face, and they start going into his like cheek and his
Mhm.
forehead and stuff, and he's just writhing in pain. But then they very quickly exit his wounds, and they kind of flop to the floor as the monster's now defeated and kind of starts to dissolve because of the drugs. So he saved the day. Casey did it.
Yep.
Simple as that. Yeah, and then we get our kind of final scene here of all of our characters and where they're at now. Because I think it's like a month later, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Life in Harrington is returned to normal with some slight adjustments. The characters are all kind of in slightly different places where they started. Stan and Stokely are now officially a couple. This is the only one of the resolutions that rubs me the wrong way. I made a note of this when we watched the movie.
Oh, the only one.
Honestly, yeah, this one bothers
Mm.
me. Oh, actually, okay, wait. Yeah, I should probably talk about the Zeke one. Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure. Well, this one bothers me from like a character perspective because Stokely is now no longer wearing like all black and her black, you know, eyeliner and stuff. She's dressed more, I guess, girly, if you will. And she even has dyed her hair lighter and she's wearing more color. To me, it's kind of like, I don't know. I kind of would have liked it if she stayed dressed the same way, but they just like each other the way that they are.
They
And
just,
maybe that's her true
See,
self.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like I
or
don't
they just
mind that
full-
one.
They full breakfast clubbed her.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
I was thinking because she made like a point to say that she did, like she said that she is lesbian, this and that, to make people stay away from her.
Right, so she
now
was
she's
using
probably
it as
embraced, like maybe
security.
she didn't even want to dress, maybe she only dressed like that for people to keep away.
That's fair.
So that one
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
not like a
mind.
total.
I didn't like
Yeah.
mind that one at all.
I guess I would have preferred if she stayed that way, but not a big deal. But then we see Zeke. He's now on the football team.
That's what pisses me off.
Oh, just him being on the
playing
football? Oh.
Yeah, what the hell? First of all, not
Yeah, I
only
guess-
is he held back senior, he's on the football team now, supposedly, because, oh yeah, we've seen how much of an athlete he was during the whole film, right?
Yeah, I guess that's
like, what the fuck? And then
Huh.
I just thought maybe it would have been cool to see him, like, studying, doing
Right.
some, like, I don't know,
lab
some,
stuff. You know,
like
yeah.
well, maybe not lab stuff, because maybe that insinuate he's still doing like making the drugs, but just like him, like maybe preparing for college in some regard, you know, or doing this. He's a smart guy. I don't know, I feel like character wise it would have been cooler for that to happen with this character rather than him playing fucking football.
Smoking.
Yeah,
I don't know, I thought
yeah,
that
and
was
he
dumb
just
as
pulls
hell.
out the dart. On
Oh, that's
the
right. It's
foot
already
and just-
lit.
Yeah.
First of all,
Yeah,
like,
he's
where
already
the fuck,
just yeah.
one, where are you keeping his
Coach
pack
is
of
yelling to
cigs?
put it out, and it's like, what? Why? Yeah.
I don't
But
know.
what bothered me more about with Zeke
Oh well,
is
yes,
where we
of
get
course.
again. This confirms my belief that him and Miss Burke have had some kind of prior romantic relationship, because we see her in the stands, kind of being cutesy and watching her
Jail.
boo. Yeah, I'm like, and like I get he's an adult,
Yeah, but
but
come
like
on.
he's a high schooler
Yeah.
and you're still his teacher. Like, bro,
That's
what?
weird.
That is insane that this movie would paint that as like a good thing. That's really bizarre, actually. I kind of hate that. I don't
Like
know.
the
Really
like
weird.
South Park, like the nice.
Yeah, exactly. And then we finally get Casey, and he's got his hair kind of done up a little bit. It's
Yeah.
nice and
Well,
combed. He's looking this cool guy. He's Chad Casey now.
We haven't mentioned that the quick flash of all the magazine covers he's been on.
Oh,
Oh, right,
yeah,
yeah,
no,
it-
that's
it's
the
in- yeah.
Full time.
Yeah.
school
He's-
newspaper.
Kid of
Yeah,
the
he's on the Harrington
young,
News.
yeah, young adult of the year or something. It was
Yeah.
on the People.
He's on all these magazine covers. He's a real hot shot
Yeah.
now. His hair's kind of combed back. He's looking like a real cool guy.
Isn't it
Delilah.
like say like hero or hoax
Hero
or
hoax,
something?
yeah. And Delilah approaches him. They're in a relationship
He's got
now.
paparazzi
They share a
there.
kiss. Yeah, exactly. He's got product in
Yeah,
his hair.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then some news people were coming in, and she's like, "Uh-oh, your fans are back." And he's like, "What is it?" He's like, "They local or network?" She's like, "I think they're both."
Local or not.
And he kind of gets up with like "I got this," to go talk to the media because they're interviewing him more and
Yeah.
stuff. And he's just like, yeah, he's just like the shit.
Now someone else is getting picked up and getting tossed into the pool, like, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a
The
new replacement. Of where he
someone
was.
has to get it. It's the hierarchy of high school, right? According to 90s teen dramas. Yeah. So Casey has escaped the clutches of bullying and I guess just being a
Being that
loser.
head cheerleader.
Who's like, I'm gonna assume now she's turned over a new leaf and is no longer a bitch. But like, could you imagine if he's just getting the Stan treatment now? And
Yeah, but he
Stan's in
stands
a
up
loving
for
relationship?
himself. I think she was waiting for
That's
that for
true,
Stan.
yeah.
And Stan just wasn't intellectually ready for those comebacks.
Yeah. Casey's he's got the wit. He's got the swag. Look at him. He's dripped out now. He's done it. He saved the day, bro. He saved the earth.
Saved the,
Quite literally saved
honestly,
the
he
planet.
did.
So that's our movie. That's The Faculty. Boom.
Mhm.
Directed by Robert Rodriguez. Pretty good.
Yep. I'm kind of thinking these aliens weren't such a bad thing to this town. Casey's found his identity. Delilah was able to work through her trauma.
Yeah.
I have to assume that guy is cured of his alcoholism. That teacher.
Well, I think
Stan has found real relationship.
Mr. Furlong lost an eye, though, as we saw in the post credits.
Yeah, and
the
his
end credit
fingers.
scenes. Yeah, he lost his four
But he's
fingers.
alive.
He is
He
alive.
didn't die. I
Poor
do
guy
want to note
lost
that
an eye.
Casey even mentioned when he stabbed like the 3 like scat pins in Mary Beth. I think he even like said like after she like starts dying and stuff, he like kind of feels bad too seeing that, and I think he even mentions like he wouldn't have liked to hear anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
High school
So
sucks,
it's like he
man.
knows this place sucks.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not anymore, because
No.
he's top dog.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hierarchy has changed. So that's The Faculty.
Yep.
You boys have anything you'd like to add about the film? You guys want to jump into scores?
Get into some scores.
Yeah,
All right. I picked this movie. as you guys could probably tell, if you guys have watched the channel before, we've like only talked about extremely acclaimed films, Oscar-winning films. This is quite literally the most opposite film from that. But I picked this because it's a personal favorite of mine. I love horror films. I love sci-fi movies. I think this is like the perfect late 90s blend of the two that does not take itself seriously whatsoever. It is extremely fun. It's extremely meta. I think the performances are very all over the place in the best way, even when they're kind of bad. But again, the movie 100% knows what it is. So I wanted to show you guys. This is both of your guys' first time watching the film.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a
Fun.
romp, man. We had a really good time watching. It was a ton of fun. I was, again, coming off of a Best Picture win talk to The Faculty by Robert Rodriguez. I was really excited. And do you guys want to do maybe 2 scores today? We have our,
Yeah.
We'll score this on a purely from a film perspective, and then we'll call this other score maybe our Schlock scale. And,
Name is a work in progress, but that's what we're keeping right now.
We're gonna go with that one for now. So for my, I guess, pure filmmaking, like if I was to judge this just on its own merits and just it being a movie, I'd give it like a 7. I think it is more than serviceable. I think it does do some stuff with the camera here and there. I think some of the character writing is legitimately better than most of these types of movies. And again, credit to Kevin Williamson for really punching up that script with his experience from Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. He knows what he's doing with those teen horror, kind of meta movies. So I'd give it a 7 as a film. But Schlock scale, come on, man. It nearly breaks it. It's a 10. It's a 10 on the Schlock scale. It's a ton of fun, man. I think such an easy watch, like an hour 40. It's a breeze and it jumps right into things. It doesn't waste a second, in my opinion. So I would highly recommend it. If you guys haven't seen it, well, I know you probably just kind of got the more than just the gist of it with our conversation, but definitely go check it out. Tanner, what do you got?
Well, purely as I'll just go ahead in my scores right now. My actual score would be 5.8.
Okay.
But my Schlock scale score, I will have to say, it knocked it out of the park. It is 10.
Yeah, let's go.
Like it's so easy to watch. It's so fun. Like I don't know how much like replay value it'll have with me personally. Like how many times I'll rewatch it. I know when I think of it, I'm gonna remember it as a very fun watch. But I don't know how many times I'll be like interested and eager to like want to rewatch it.
Yeah.
But either way, like I think overall, yeah, I mean it's very over the top. Like certain scenes, again, it just reminds me of like CW show, like kind of s storytelling. And not that that's like, that's your thing, that's your thing. But overall, I had a ton of fun watching it. It's nice to see a lot of like these very, very notable actors within it that may or may not have had already like noticeable work within it. Obviously, majority of them didn't at their time, but it's cool to see their younger selves and then what they blossomed into and like what maybe this movie in particular had allowed them to grow into other and get other roles of themselves and stuff. But
yeah, definitely.
I don't know. It's very neat. It's if you have not watched it, be very surprised if you're watching this right now. But if you haven't watched it, it's a guaranteed fun time.
Oh yeah.
Like it's a really good movie in that aspect. But overall though, like there's a lot to critique within it. But I think that in itself is what makes it a lot of fun.
Right.
Because it's not trying.
It's almost a bonus. Yeah, it's a bonus in that way.
It knows that's what I like from it. It knows what it is, and it just allows you to just kind of like embrace that like atmosphere that it's trying to portray, and just like that whole world building. And I don't know. I think that's the great part of it. A lot of fun.
Nice.
A lot of fun. I'll go ahead and toss
Seth,
it to
what do we
you.
got?
Well, first I'm going to choose you to my defeat, and
Mine's empty. But...
and well, it's just for me, because of the L I took. But I'll start with this, and hopefully I come correct next trivia time. Maybe I'll be at the question master.
That's
for
true.
you two.
Yeah, maybe you won't have to answer correctly or not.
But no, regular rating for this movie, I would put it at a 5.21. But that's not why we're here. We're here for the Schlock scale. The Schlock scale,
Yeah, that's right.
I'm going to go with a 9.34. I just think this is such a fun movie. Like you guys are saying, it's everything. It knows exactly what it is. It's not trying to break any like ground. It's not trying
No.
to be anything it's not. And it's just such a it's an when I say easy watch, that can sound a little like
Mhm.
but it is. It's you could just sit there and kind of just laugh and have a good time with it, and you kind of know that Robert Rodriguez is intentionally making things look funny, like the coach standing in the sprinklers. Like it's super important
that.
for the movie, but it's just an objectively hilarious shot.
Yeah, it's a
And
funny way to frame it. Yeah.
you got the things like him, like Casey smelling Delilah's hair, and like Delilah, wait, like all of those things that make this movie. But then it can also pull you in to be intrigued of where we're going, and like it's still it has good storytelling and like good fright in it a little bit too. I don't like when Mary Beth took her final form, I was a little disgusted. I was like, oh, this is definitely a scary monster. Like I'm not watching Scary Movie. I'm watching a scary movie. Like, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. I think it's exactly what the spectrum of movie making is, and exactly why I love your taste in bringing that here. Something I probably never would have watched on my own.
Same.
So I'm glad that it's one of your favorites and that you brought it to us.
Definitely glad you guys enjoyed it as much as you did.
I want to ask you, with your Schlock scale rating, are we going to get these very meticulous ratings from that too as well?
I hope so.
I hope
we
so.
do.
No, I hope so too.
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah.
I love that. All right.
Yes.
Well, yeah, again, I'm really glad you guys enjoyed it. If you guys at home have seen The Faculty, which I'm going to assume you have not, it's almost 30 years old by this point, and it's
Wow.
not exactly a critical darling. So it's not the most relevant film of all time. But if you have seen it, let us know what you guys think in the comments. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Honestly, I love just talking about this movie, especially with anybody that's actually seen it. So now the two of you guys have, you guys can know what the fuck I'm talking about if I ever
I
refer
loved
to
it.
it.
Guaranteed
loved
to
it.
jack you up.
Guaranteed to jack you up. So many
Game
quotable
line.
lines. It's hilarious.
Those will last.
Yeah, you guys got anything else to add?
Oh,
All right, guys. I think that does that for episode 7. Thank you guys for joining us once again here at Backseat Filmmaking. D. Norris, take us away.
Hey, fans and subscribers of Backseat Filmmaking. Thank you, viewers, for watching. You need to like, subscribe, comment, and generally don't break bad on the comments, all right? Because I'm going to kick your butt, all right? You don't want the DE after your ass. So do all that and support Backseat Filmmaking.